Hello, everybody. Welcome to Xbox Ultimate Podcast. This is episode number 217. It's February the 7th, and we got some fun stuff to talk about today. There's not a lot of news. I was talking to the guys, we're kind of grasping for straws out there as far as things to talk about, but we always have a good time, and I think there's plenty of stuff to have some good conversations about. So we'll do that, and I hope you all enjoy the show today. Thank you all for tuning in. If you do like the content, hit the like button, share it out, notification bell, sub, all that kind of cool stuff greatly helps us grow. Audio listeners, hey, thank you all for listening as well, or watching if you're on Spotify also, because it is available on video on Spotify. But if you do like the show, leave a review. Greatly helps people find us that way as well. And hope you are all doing awesome. I see a lot of cool names in the chat. I see Thatch, BT Maverick 707, Berg Base Brizzle. We got Razor Ultron, Brett Bingham, E Ranks hanging out, BT Maverick. It's Stormzy here as well. It says rest in peace, the Resistance franchise. Yeah, I saw news about that earlier. That Resistance 4 was pitched but not greenlit because of the amount of Marvel shit that Insomniac's got to do. But hey, it's all right, I guess. Well, we are joined today by the man from space. He returns again, and it's good to have Jasper back every week now. It seems like. But hey, Jasper, what's going on, bro?
It's going pretty good. I got FOMO, so I picked up Kingdom Come
Oh,
Deliverance 2.
you just
Um,
increased my FOMO. Damn it! I already was having FOMO. Now it's even higher. You
so
played
I've
it?
been playing that. Yeah, it's like I don't think I've ever played a game that has a more like natural world. Like it looks like something you would see like just in real life. Like I don't know, like the way like the nature's like the landscape is like just made in that game. It looks so
Mhm.
real.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know.
You're playing on your PC, right? On your laptop?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the first game too, they did a really good job kind of making the world feel grounded, right? So it had good
Yeah.
graphics and everything. The combat felt like kind of realistic feel and stuff to it. But I think what everybody is saying is like it took a step up with this one in a lot of big ways. And they've already sold as much as they needed to within the first day to start turning a profit. That development team is cooking right now, and I bet
Yeah.
they're super happy. Do you agree with the reviews so far? I know you haven't played too much of it yet, but
Um, it's kind of hard to say, like, because I've had a few issues. Like, there was one thing, like, it was just like a small bug. Like, this would be like a Bethesda bug, but like, this woman was like washing her hands and just like going down the street, like constantly washing her hands, like doing this or something. It was like really weird. Um, and then there's just some like frustrating aspects of the game. Like, I don't like the way the save system works, but I mean, that's just like a kind of a
nitpick.
minor complaint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, it's been pretty good. I want to get more into it. Like I'm 6 hours in, I feel like I haven't even touched anything.
right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I can't wait. It is a lot of people saying it has a slow start. Would you agree with that?
Uh, I don't I don't know if it's really a slow start. It's just like the progression is so slow that you feel like you haven't done much
Hmm.
because like it's such a big world. So I don't know if it's necessarily like I guess it's kind of a slow start, but
Yeah, I think kind of getting your
it's
feet
kind of
wet and figuring stuff
yeah,
out and stuff like that. Right on.
yeah.
So I have another before we get to Fuzzy. I got another question because I'm a veteran of this game from back in the day. Pong Soul is too.
Uh,
And you actually went and got this game in early access because of the amount. I
yep,
think because of the amount that we were talking about it. I think
yep.
we caused you some FOMO there, but you actually picked up Tokyo Extreme Racer. Um,
I did.
and because it's not because it's so different, right? And and you've come from a different generation. I'm really curious on your thoughts on TXR.
Initially, like when you all were talking about it and like all the videos and stuff I've seen on it, like I was super hesitant on the game just
Yeah.
because like it seemed like the loop of the game would get super boring. You just like drive down the same highway and then challenge a guy or whatever. Um, that I thought that was gonna be like my major problem with it, but that hasn't really bothered me too much. Um, so far I like the game. It's just the level up aspect of it. I don't know if it's just because it's the early access version of it or not, but I feel like you can't upgrade your car too much because you have to challenge like Crimson Princess or Crimson Midnight or whatever the fuck it
Yeah,
is.
that's the like the level
Mhm.
2 boss, I
Yeah,
think, right? Yeah.
and that's the end of the early access demo, and I feel like everything is just locked behind that one boss. Like I got like the level 1 like tune upgrades and stuff. Like I've unlocked NOS and all that stuff, but everything else is just locked behind that one boss. I'm like, it's kind of sucks.
Yeah, in some ways I feel you there because like I'm at like a wall right now, right? I
Yeah,
can't really get my car any faster and I still have some ways to go, so I'm like, so how am I going to pull this off? You know what I mean? Because I have two cars and both of them are good at different things kind of. One has more top end, one's better around turns and stuff like that to keep your speed up, you know. And it's like, okay, do I have enough speed to finish this? So it's like you got to use the battle aspect to it. You know, use your NOS at the launch of the race to make sure you keep up with them and be able to try and keep them from getting ahead of you. You know, so it's like there's always like these games to play with it. Now I'm curious how early access affects that kind of stuff too, because when the game's fully unlocked in a few months, it's like how much more is there, right? So, and do
yeah.
they unlock more
Because
upgrades early or all that kind of stuff?
initially, like I was just gonna go in and buy my real life car in the game or whatever, but then I was like, oh, it's
Yeah,
locked behind this one boss, and this one boss is the end of the early access. So I was like, by the time I get my car, I'll just be done with the game and be waiting for like 3 months or whatever for the next update.
right,
So I
right,
was like, I guess I'll just get a fucking BRZ instead of my car.
right.
Um,
It's cool that they have your car in the game
yeah,
though, you
yeah,
know. Um,
um,
but you still having fun with it?
yeah. I haven't really like. I know you were talking about it was like you would get like a boss or whatever, and like it just like instantly wipes you or whatever, and you're like kind of struggling with that battle. I haven't really had that problem too much. Like, there's been like one or two bosses that I've challenged, but they were already like so high out of level. I was just like seeing how like fast they
Mhm.
were. But if you like kind of stay with like your level stuff, it doesn't really don't really
Yeah,
lose or
so
anything.
right now, like I think my car's like a level 10, and like the bosses I'm trying to fight or and race are like level 13, 14. You know, and but I can't get my car any higher than that.
Yeah.
So it's like when but there's certain cars that are just insanely fast. Like there's a level 10 that just bam, they just like take off like a rocket. It's like the fastest car in the game is level 10. I don't understand it, you know. But then there's like level 13s and 14s, and it just depends. Like some of them I can stay
Yeah.
with, some of them I can't. So it's not is because all cars are better at different things. So like, you know, and some of the drivers are better at are better too. So some of them avoid traffic better, some of them try and take you out
Try
and
to
they're more
ram you. Yeah.
wild and stuff, you know. So it's like playing a game trying to figure out what to do, and I think the answer is going to be getting more cars for the different situations and the different kinds of bosses I got to face and testing them out, see what cars I can get more speed out of. I need to pick Fuzzy's brain on gear ratios and
I
all
mean,
that
the only
stuff
car
too.
I've ever used was like I picked the AE86, the Toyota.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
my starting car, and then the
Mhm.
second I was able to buy the BRZ, I bought the BRZ, and I've just upgraded that the entire time. And now I have like now I'm just buying cars because I have so much extra money, and I just don't want to like cap my money and then just like not earn anything. So I'm just buying
Yeah,
random
yeah.
cars at this point.
I started with the Roadster, and then I got the GR86.
Mhm.
So
GT86.
GT. Yeah, sorry. That's what I'm. Sorry, I'm not the Toyota guy that knows all the. All right, so but yeah, I have the GT86, and um, it's like I think the Mazda, if I fully upgraded it, would be faster.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, well, it's I've been having a blast. I'm still hooked
Yeah.
on it, trying to get all the rivals and stuff taken out. Well, how you doing, Fuzz? You been
I'm
rocking and rolling?
doing pretty good. Haven't played much on the Quest 3 this week, but still playing a little bit of TXR. And then as far as like for gear ratio stuff, I always set like if it's a 6 speed, um, set the fifth gear to 1.0 or 1 to 1 basically, do point 0.8 on the 6th gear, or the last two. The one before the last gear should be 1, and the last one should be point 0.8. And then for final gear ratios, I always recommend something like a 373 for longer runs. If you just want something to be short and quick to get a good launch, like a 410 or a 411 rear gear ratio, you can kind of tweak it a little bit. But like 410 will give you a much better jump. You go any higher than that, it really abuses or reduces your top end speed. But 373 is like that. I wouldn't say that perfect balance, but in a lot of cases with these cars, it'll give you good off the line speed, and you'll be able to get a pretty decent top end speed. But hopefully at that point you're in front of the guy, and you might have to do some blocking or dodging in and out of traffic and pitting them against the traffic and stuff like that. But outside of that, still playing a lot of Forza Horizon 5 and GT7. Forza Horizon 5, I got that what was it, like a 95 Cobra. Try to get a decent, I got a decent A800 version of it. One naturally aspirated and the other one turboed. So I'm trying to see. I got, with the exception of 2 other tunes that you can download. Mine is like the 3rd fastest as far as for like a quick drag strip type race. So you're looking for like quarter-mile runs, it's probably one of the better bets to go with. But once you get past a quarter mile, most other gear ratios will probably catch back up and stuff. But only trying to race to the lights, so yeah.
Oh, I downloaded one of your tuning setups. I think yesterday, the day before. I hopped in a 90 something Celica, the the 4-wheel drive one.
Yeah.
And I hopped onto that one, and it was like I was looking for tuning setups for it because I back in the day I used to do all that stuff myself, like on the old Forza Motorsports and stuff, but I don't understand it anymore. I don't have the patience to relearn any of that shit. So I know that you know what you're doing, so I just installed your setup. It looked like you did it for off-road because of all the body kit that you had for it. Had all the rails on the outside and all that kind of stuff. So I just ran with it. Like it so far though. Good job.
Yeah, I use that one mainly for like the expansion for like the rally stuff, or what, I forget the name of the expansion now, but I made that as like my good balance car. I mean, you can still use it in the open world, but for like dirt roads and things like that, it should be pretty good, and should be good in rain and things along those lines too. But yeah, I probably should have uploaded a lot more tunes. I keep on looking, and it's like, wait a minute, I didn't share this tune.
Yeah, but it's a lot. I was gonna change the body kit on it, but it's locked. So you lock your tunes.
Yeah, well, no, they do that automatically, and that's one thing I hope they change moving forward. And you can't really share tunes in GT7, but with paint schemes, you can lock or unlock them. So, like, let's say I put the number 11 on it, but you want to make it the number 17, and I didn't lock it, you can go in and adjust my decal setup so you can change the number or change a couple of decals around if you want. And I kind of like that, because a lot of people will make, replica paint schemes, but, they'll have a different number than what the real car is, and I want to make the official replica, so I try to change the number back, and most of them leave it unlocked, but a couple do leave them locked. It's like, come on, why you do that?
I wonder if we'll have an influx of designers and tuners and stuff when it hits PlayStation.
I think if enough of them give it time, because I know there's going to be those on Twitter that are like, oh, I'm going to show how crappy this is, and then they'll silently disappear from Twitter because they're having fun with the game. But I think we will get an influx. Now, there is a cool thing where there are some recognized painters in both communities. Like some of the people that are like really well known in the Forza community for their liveries are also making paint schemes over on GT7 and vice versa. So there are some names that play both, but I think we'll get to see more of it. And I think the fact that you don't really have that much of an arcade racer selection other than, Crew Motorfest over there and Need for Speed. I think this will be a a nice change of pace for a lot of those guys over there. And who knows? Maybe this will be um, the feedback that they need for Forza Horizon 6, because things like the tunes, I wish there was a way where if you wanted to unlock it so the person can adjust maybe the gear ratio or change the wheels or, like you said, change the body kit. That to me would be awesome. Like some of the stuff I understand, like, okay, if you want to lock the gear ratios and suspension, fine. I'm cool with that. But there's wheels out there that are the same weights that you should be able to change to just for like aesthetic purposes or something. I think that would be cool. And like you said, the body kits, like I made it an off-road rally car, and if you wanted to make it a regular street car, it's like, well, you got the exhaust or the what do you call it, the intake on the outside, for being submerged in water and stuff. So yeah, they kind of tweak it a little bit for the next one, hopefully. But
My question
man,
with
oh
the
man,
Forza situation is like, how
yeah,
much is the Xbox stuff going to carry over? Like the content that Xbox community is going to carry to PlayStation, and vice versa? Is the
It's
PlayStation
it's full
like
crossplay, so it should.
yeah, it should. And I guess the key
are you going
thing,
to
I'm
see
not.
Xbox drivatars though? Like,
Yeah, so I think you're probably going to see whatever community that you're logged in with. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Yeah,
they'll probably have PlayStation friends list drivatars, so those will just be empty because nobody has any friends on PlayStation.
yeah.
Um, I don't. They'll just make up names. I don't know. Everybody. I know a lot of people's PlayStation friends list are like pretty bare because nobody uses party chat or even uses that shit except for like if
yeah,
you got your click on Call of Duty, you might have like those 5 guys or whatever that you play with often or something like that,
That's a
right?
restaurant.
5 guys. Um, so it'll be interesting though. Like I don't know, man, because like on Xbox, one thing I like, I know it's not like the same it used to be, where it's like, oh, they learn from the players and they drive
Yeah,
like them too, which they never really did. Let's just be honest, like
yeah.
because I know some of you guys weren't that bad, right? But the it's still fun seeing the names, like
yeah.
mentally when I'm racing, I would be like, Fuzzy's in first, I got to take out that motherfucker, just seeing the name Fuzzy for some reason just makes me want to beat your ass just a little bit more, and other names on the friends list or whatever is pretty
Yeah,
cool. So but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do that. I think the designs should cross over at least.
yeah.
I don't know.
I hope so. I like that. I think would be some of the biggest things, and they already have a pretty strict policy, so I can't imagine people having like anything offensive or whatever. So you can't have like the PlayStation troll face type of thing on your car. Well, no, they'll probably allow that, but you can't
Be like,
put like
you would have Master Chief pissing on Kratos or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
they're probably not going to allow that, but like
a good
at
old
least the
tea
paint
bag.
schemes and stuff. Like I'm looking forward to an Xbox themed paint scheme
Oh, that
for the
will be
PlayStation
interesting.
players to download,
Like
because they've allowed
the Halo
PlayStation
content.
Mhm.
Is the
Halo
Halo
content.
content going to be playable in the
They said
PlayStation
all the
version?
content. Like
Yeah,
I was
so
thinking that
they'll
the other
have the
day.
warthog and everything.
When I was
Yeah,
streaming
Yeah.
it the other day, I was like, "This is Halo music playing right now." Like, cause like it's in the soundtrack, like the Halo stuff. So you
Yeah.
have Halo stuff. You have the Warthog race. Like,
hmm
it would be interesting if they do like a special content for PlayStation players. Like, I don't know what they'd fucking do. Like, I mean, honestly, oh hey, here's our Destruction All Stars
I was gonna say
section.
like
Oh,
the boat from God of War, whatever.
Yeah, like what are they gonna do? With that.
the horn will say, "Boy."
Yeah. Come here, boy. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they implement all that stuff because like this is the first time that I think like this big of a game. But I mean, some of that stuff exists within Sea of Thieves too. There's definitely like Xbox themed content within Sea of Thieves, I think. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that made the transition as well.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because I don't care to play it on a PlayStation. I like already
Because
have
like
it.
I just know for like Rocket League, for example, like every time that they have like an exclusive like or like they have like the Gears of War car in Rocket League, you can only play that on Xbox. But if you go to like Switch and it's like a Mario car or whatever, so it's like
Yeah. I don't know. Fortnite has Master Chief and Kratos and all that stuff,
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So like the third parties are starting to do that stuff more. So and like Xbox is going to be bringing these franchises over there too. So for them, it's like, well, it'd be weird if they held back content, but they end up putting the Master Chief collection on
Yeah.
PlayStation. Like you can't have it in Forza, but we'll give you the entire for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4 and Reach. You know, you can and ODST. You can have all those, but no, you can't have the Halo song in Forza Horizon. You know,
and
a
Warthog and
Warthog
Halo
race. Oh,
Horizon. And Forza.
Alvin with the $5 super chat says, "Of course, the Halo content will be on PlayStation. Halo itself will be. Yeah, just what I was saying, bro." Brett Bingham said there is a version of the GT86 called the GR86. It is a higher performance variant. I knew that. I know those that came from somewhere in my brain. I know I heard of a GR86 before, but I don't know which one it was I had.
You have the GT because that's the
Okay.
first one you can unlock. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the 2012 one.
Yeah, because GR86 wasn't around till like 16 or some shit or something like that,
Okay.
or 18.
Hey, Mr. Toyota. Sorry. I know. It's like talking Mustangs or Camaros with Fuzzy. He's gonna like probably correct you on everything. Shout out to J Mac. Shout out to Lotus Esprit. Shout out to Thatch. Big Mad Mo. Razor Ultron. Be nice. Hope you all are doing excellent. Dizzy Delta says they say PSN is down. My Xbox still works. I don't get it. I thought everything was an Xbox. Well, yeah, I did see that. I saw earlier that PSN was down. Is it still down? I mean, if it's still down, that's pretty long. Now they've had times before. What was the time when it went down for like weeks or some shit like that?
That was like PlayStation 3 era, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, because of the hack. But then when
Yeah.
GT7 came out, it was down for more than 24 hours. It was like 28 hours or something. And that was what everybody was complaining about, it being always online. But then when it's no online, you can't play the game except for the music rally thing or something.
And everybody complained about DRM when fucking Xbox One was going to launch. Oh, what do you mean? Like, and then the PlayStation, like, I'm just saying, guys, like that. I still can't believe the big deal everybody made about that aspect of it back before those launched. I remember it. You know, sometimes you just kind of like wonder, am I in like this alternate reality where everybody is just kind of like doesn't understand that things move forward or something, and it's I don't know. People pick the weirdest things to all of a sudden like rally against and get like charged up against and like, no, we have to fight for our rights for this. Yet it's going to come back to bite our ass. And I think that one did for a lot of people. With some of the changes that Xbox made at that time to offset the bad messaging. But
it would have been nice to be able to sell and trade your used digital games or old digital games and stuff. But
it sounded brilliant to me, man. Like I was on forums, like on GameSpot, be like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. You're gonna like my lazy ass is gonna be able to go buy a disc, put it in my Xbox, install it, take it out, put it in the box, put it on the shelf. I can do that with all my games. I can have physical versions of them, right? For the license, you know. But then I can still end up selling or trading those games later, right? Because they were going to have a system with the retailers like GameStop and stuff like that to make that possible, which was going to change the landscape of physical and digital media, create this kind of transitionary period. And I was like, wow, it's gonna be awesome being able to kind of collect these things still and still just have the ease of an access of use of digital game library, right? But nope. Now you had to keep the damn disc in the tray. And that was really the only change. The fact that the disc acted as the license for a while, but what people forgot is a lot of games, the game isn't on the disc, right? And a lot of games you can't play if you're not online anyway. And it's it gotten even more to the extreme point now. You know what I mean? Like, if you have your home Xbox, you can still play like a good amount of games on that one,
Yeah.
digitally and stuff. But that was going to be allowed anyway because they have the whole check-in thing. You know what I mean? So there was systems they were implementing for all that. They were talking about family sharing and all these different things to be able to kind of work within that realm. But DRM, that was the biggest marketing move I think PlayStation ever made with like, hey, Xbox is bad. This is how you share games. Like that was
Yeah.
taking advantage of a moment in time, you know. But when PSN goes down, you can't play your fucking games. A lot of them, just like any other company, it is what it is, right? Sappho says Xbox is sending so many games over they had to take PSN down. Their servers are getting flooded from the multiplayer gamers now having multiplayer games to play. Is that what's happening? So I think Forza Horizon's hitting in the spring, right? So is what they had said. So that's probably March or April. Maybe early May at the latest.
Yeah.
Probably
I
whenever
figure
there's a
sometime.
break.
Yeah. I figure sometime in May, hopefully before Doom. I mean, they're going to get bombarded either way you look at it with upcoming games at that point. But there's their first party.
Maybe they launched it
not
the
remastering.
same day as South of Midnight. So like Xbox gamers get their game, and then the PlayStation gamers get to finally play Forza Horizon.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
that would keep the gaming media's mouth for a bit. Like, oh, South of Midnight. Oh, and I'm enjoying Forza Horizon on my preferred platform. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. It's interesting we're talking about the whole digital rights thing and stuff, and like part of it now too is, Xbox Anywhere, and Jez had a couple articles he's been doing over the last couple days because, and I agree with a lot of this, that I think the future of the Xbox platform and what they're trying to do is going to be kind of heavily reliant on them making your games playable on PC and Xbox, right? Now, it depends on what the next console is going to be on how they implement that. So there's a lot of unknowns still. It may not matter at the end of the day. Like if the next console is still technically a console, they just open the back end, right? But if they're talking about unlocking it as a PC, does that mean you'd be able to play the PC version and the console version on a console? You know what I mean? If you go to the Xbox PC store on the same console as you do the Xbox console store, or what I would rather have is just be one thing that you can access wherever. You know what I mean? And it's kind of interesting to think about how it's going to be implemented because there's a lot more smoke around this whole PC hybrid type consoles for next generation. But yeah, Xbox Anywhere should be like, you would think that would be the gateway to make that possible. But Jez was pointing out that like support for Xbox Anywhere, just at in a grander scale, actually this past year was actually down over 2023. So there was actually less games in Xbox Anywhere than 2023. But percentage wise, I think it was like 13% of games supported it in 2023 and like 7%
I
supported in
think that's
2024.
mainly like because like a Play Anywhere game, like it's usually something that's also available on the PC to purchase. Like, and I feel like since Xbox is now in that rhythm of launching a bunch of first party stuff themselves, like they're not going out of their way to sign those third party deals as much. So there's not as many games coming to the store itself because they're just supplying their own content.
So I'm wondering how it's going to work though, because like his thing is saying like it needs to be supported like more organically by third party publishers, and it doesn't need to be reliant on deals that Xbox makes, like marketing deals or whatever, right? I use it all the time. I love it. Like I'll play my games on my tablet in the cloud. I'll play on my PC. I'll play on the console, right? And I think it's an amazing feature. But I'm seeing other games now, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, right? Is a new game. Doesn't support Xbox Play Anywhere, but it supports stream your own game,
Yeah.
right? So I'm wondering if that's going to be more of the new trend going forward. And maybe some games will still support anywhere, but there'll be more games with the stream your own game. And then maybe with the next gen console, the one version will work anyway somehow. If they is there a way they can make your console games playable on a PC?
There
That's what
is.
I don't know.
It would take emulation, and that's the key thing. If especially for the handheld in particular, at least for me, if I can play my current console version apps, what we have on our Series X or Series S SSDs, if I could take that exact app, put it on the handheld, and it's able to be installed and play with no problems, and not streamable or anything like that, that would be great. Or even if it's emulation, like rumor has it they may go ARM as far as the chipset. I mean AMD. It's weird. For a handheld, they would probably be better off going ARM just for the battery life
Battery
and
life, yeah.
whatnot. But then you got the whole what do you call them? The cheat engine stuff that they try to
Yeah.
the anti cheat. That might be a problem for ARM. I think it's still a problem for ARM to some extent, but if they could get it figured out where either do the emulation for for the PC stuff and the console stuff, or make it so, all right, kind of like the way the Steam Deck is to some extent, make it so on the front end all your Xbox stuff works no problem, and then maybe you hit the Xbox button and it goes to like a desktop mode, kind of like what you do with the Steam Deck, and then that would be where you can access your Steam Store library stuff or your Epic Store library stuff or the PC apps from the Windows Store that you may already own, and then do it that way. If they can do that on that one device, I'm sold. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But that's kind of in the hands of the third party. Like
I
if
mean,
I'm
like,
pretty sure Ubisoft will be fine with it and a few others. But yeah, go ahead.
so a couple of points, like going back to Mav's thing, where it's like our game's gonna go more to stream or whatever. Like, I just looked at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 isn't on the PC store. If it was, it'd be played anywhere. But
Right.
I think the stream thing, it's just like a simple button click they click when they're like pushing the game to the storefront. It's like nothing that the game developer really has to do. So you'll see that more just because it's a simple click. Whereas like they have to actually port the game to the PC platform store first for you to get play anywhere. And then to Fuzzy's thing, where it's like, or I guess Mav's thing too, where like, are you going to see console games like playable on PC and stuff? The easiest way to do that, I would think, would be if you could download like the Xbox app and it came with its own like virtual OS thing or whatever, and then you just like, it's kind of just like emulating like an Xbox itself on PC, because then you would just, they wouldn't have to change any licenses really, because you're still within a defined OS.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to wrap my head around it because it's hard to like in the world we live in right now. You have your console library,
Thoughts?
you have your PC library, right? And some games you have dual entitlement, right? They're talking about a PC hybrid potential console for the future, allowing you access to Steam, Epic, or whatever storefronts on the back end, with still being a console storefront on the front end. But I'm wondering if that console storefront will be more or less actually like Xbox storefront just in general, and Windows and Xbox console comes together in some kind of way, right? To where it's like less of a separate experience, and it's just you get the version optimized for the device that you're playing on, right? So the developers wouldn't have to develop, hey, this is this version, this is this version, to make the PC version of a game and that
Yeah, I mean that
targets the
that would
Xbox.
be easy because a lot of PC games nowadays anyway, like the second you boot it up, they already scan your system and kind of use
Yeah,
default settings based on whatever hardware you have.
exactly. Now, but the thing I can't get around and that I don't understand is the forward compatibility of your past library, which the Xbox says is utmost importance to them as well. In that world, if the storefront is the PC is just kind of, hey, it's all one storefront now, you know, like
Mhm.
launching console games on a PC console where the storefront in current day is different because it's, one thing, as opposed to two, that would erase the whole issues with
I
Xbox
mean,
anywhere as well, because you would
yeah.
be buying games that would just be playable on your PC or your console as well. Call it a console, but it'd really be a PC, right? But what happens with your old library in that sense coming forward with you? How do they get around all the licenses of like, hey, we license this to be on Xbox console stores, not Xbox PC stores with all the publishers and all those other kind of things. And like maybe there's a way around it legally or something, or because I don't even know if that's the case, if it is it run games via emulation next gen.
Well, I think
Like I don't know.
anything older than the one is going to have to be emulated.
Right, but I'm even talking about this
If like,
generation of
yeah,
games, like I'm not saying I'm like concerned about it because they keep reiterating how important forward compatibility is to them.
Mhm.
I just curious what it's going to look like. How is this going to come together? Because Jez raises some good points. Because the easy solution, would be Xbox Anywhere, right? Because then you don't have, regardless of the storefront, you have access to the title, right? Whether it's PC or Xbox, it isn't. It's ensuring that future for you. You know what I mean? But without the titles all going into Xbox Anywhere, then it's like, well, I'm still dedicated right now. When I buy a game on an Xbox Series X, I'm buying a console version of that game, right? If my next console isn't really a console, it's a PC, and that's their answer to get around exclusivity and third party
yeah,
things
but
and all that stuff.
even
Like,
even with them calling it like a hybrid PC thing or whatever, like they're still going to develop the games for that device, like if it was a
like a
console, like
native console, right?
yeah,
So that would be the answer. So in that world, you buy an Xbox Series X2 or whatever it is,
yeah,
right? You boot it up and it's just a console like it is today. You go to your library, you have all your games optimized to the peak of what this thing can do, right? And then like Fuzzy said, you hit like a button, and it goes into Windows mode. And from there, maybe you can access the Xbox PC store, the Epic Game Store, and the Steam Game Store. If that's the world that we live in at that point, then Xbox, the Play Anywhere thing, isn't as important as far as
yeah,
that specific device.
yeah.
Right now, for me, people like me that want to play in different places, then it's more important. But for their messaging, if like this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, you would expect all the games to be available on the devices that they're calling an Xbox. So that's where the stream your own game thing comes in, because they're going to be adding a lot to that, right? But it doesn't seem like they're going to be adding a lot to Xbox Play Anywhere. So is their answer for this as an Xbox just going to be the cloud?
Well, I
It'll probably
think
be the temporary fix, I think, because like Apple is kind of going through something similar. Like they have their iOS store and they have their Mac store, but they kind of overlap to some extent. Like pretty much anything that's in the iOS store, if I'm not mistaken. Although my newest Mac is what, from 2015 or something. So I think any game that's from like the iOS for your phone or for your tablet or for your iPad or whatever can be played on a Mac. But not every Mac game can be played on your phone or tablet or iPad.
Right.
So I think we'll see some things along those lines where first party, they'll probably make it where it's just one app at some point, especially if this is truly a hybrid where it's like a almost like a pre-built PC more so than a previous
Right.
type of layout for a console.
But then that's the
So I could see
question. If
those.
it's one app, one thing, you would think that the storefronts would look the same on all of them, right?
It should, and they could probably make it function as if it's one. It's just that you might have to have it where, the PC versions on the back end, when you click to download, it's a .exe versus the Xbox app might be a .exb or something along those lines, or whatever, like the file category would be for the Xbox game apps and things like that. So I definitely think it's doable for it to be that way, but the third parties are going to be the biggest question. Like a couple of people may mention in the chat, and one company that I could see not really fighting tooth and nail, but making it a harder fought battle would be like a Take Two, because they want you to buy Grand Theft Auto 6s as many times as possible.
Rockstar is just, they're always like that anyway.
Yeah, but the weird thing about them though is they're supporting the stream your own game thing, even with some of their bigger games. So like that's why I was wondering if that's going to be the solution for their whole "this is an Xbox" initiative, is because like NBA 2K25 is one of the first games they added. It was in the first initial groups, and that's one of their most popular games every single year. So, I've been enjoying playing. It's fucking like amazing. Playing NBA 2K25 on my tablet. Like, I mean, there's like no latency. It looks crystal clear. I have no issues playing that game just sitting there on my tablet with my controller. It's awesome. And they support it with Topspin 2K25. They supported it with some of their other, I can't remember all of them. EA has some of their newer games on there. Some of the bigger publishers do. So, like you said, Jasper, like that's more of maybe just like a click, or something that's easy for it to be added, right? And I think that's going to be where we see a lot of games. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a brand new one that just launched that way. And it's an added benefit if you buy it on Xbox consoles, right? But for me, as somebody who loves Xbox Anywhere, like if you want the best experience still as a PC owner, you would buy it on PC. Right? So there still creates that like choice a little bit. Do I buy it to get the most bells and whistles and graphics fidelity on Steam because it's not on the Xbox store? Or do I buy it on the Xbox storefront to add it to my library so I can also play it in the cloud? I don't want to have to make that decision,
Eventually, I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will be in the Xbox store, like on PC.
Yeah.
I think it'll just be like 2 years or so, or a year or two. Because Embracer, they usually, like, even with the Remnant Shadow of the Ashes 2 or whatever, that game launched on Xbox and it wasn't on the PC store. And then, like, 6 months to a year later, it's on the PC store. It's usually whenever they come to Game Pass or just they decide to put it in this Xbox store. I don't know why Embracer does that, but they just usually take a little longer.
Yeah.
So eventually it will be played anywhere. But
anyway, these are just questions that I'm always in my head kind of about what this is going to look like in the future. And if Xbox does talk about next gen consoles, even if they don't officially announce anything yet, those are the things that I want to be acknowledged or talked about. Now, we could get more news on this soon because in March there's GDC and they said there was going to be news regarding the Xbox app at that time. So we could figure out some stuff. Also, Jason Ronald talked about this unification of Xbox and Windows later this year as well. So we could get some kind of more information that and kind of get a clearer vision of how all this is going to work. Yeah, Dizzy Delta in the chat said, anyone know why it took so long for Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection to release on Xbox? Was there an exclusivity deal there or what happened? It's 2D fighting games, so I can't see it being a dev issue. I see you already answered this a little bit fuzzy. Short of it is there was the framework was not available anymore or whatever for Xbox One, but not easily ported to Series X and S. So from what I remember, there was some kind of like dev kit issue with the framework that they just basically Capcom had lost the ability to port games to the Xbox One, like Xbox One versions of games or something like that. And so that's why you had a few of them get announced in a row that were only on those other stores, but Xbox got with them, figured it out, and then they later announced them for Xbox. So It was a big deal when this happened. I remember everybody was like,
Yeah.
Valve versus Capcom's not coming to Xbox. What the fuck? You know, we always get excluded, but it turned out it was a dev issue. It was like something weird. Now they shouldn't have allowed it to happen. They should have got with them. Maybe Capcom should have got with Xbox earlier. Xbox should have got with Capcom earlier. I don't know.
It's
But
part of it, to what I understand, it's because Xbox is the one that really believes in generations. With them kind of phasing out the Xbox One, that's what the problem was. Like, there is a distinct difference between the Xbox One coding to the Xbox Series coding. The Xbox Series coding is supposed to be more dev friendly, but not every dev is on board going with that. These games they're older script, and the PS5 is not much different in scripting from the PS4. So porting stuff directly is easy peasy. Porting stuff this far into this generation from Xbox One over, when the dev kits are pretty much no longer used to some extent, isn't, or at least the Xbox One dev kits or whatever aren't really used, then that's part of it. Because I think they had like a compatibility layer in the series console dev kits that covered for Xbox One, and I think with the more recent updates with FSR and all that stuff caused that to fall on the wayside. So they kind of both parties figured it out. Their engineers, I guess, helped their devs get it across the line.
yeah, basically that MT frame. I think it's MT framework. If I remember
MT,
right.
yeah.
I think that engine was only really built for the last gen architecture, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the Xbox dev kits, what you're saying is basically weren't supporting last gen very well anymore for that stuff, maybe,
Correct,
or something like
yeah.
that.
They moved to do more of the ray tracing,
Yeah.
the shader stuff, the FSR stuff. All of that pretty much overwrites whatever Xbox One layer stuff used to be on them.
Yeah, and I think it was a specific issue with that engine. So I don't know. They got it worked out, so that's why it's now happening, right? It wasn't because Xbox isn't popular enough, or anything. I would argue that if Xbox was more popular, they probably would have found a way to figure this out earlier on, right? Instead of letting it happen later, But overall,
Yeah, I just think it's
we got
I
it.
just think it's funny that like when it initially would happen, it was like, oh, it's not come to Xbox. You saw the entire fucking Twitter sphere freak out over it, and then
Yeah.
it got announced the other day, and you see like two people be like, "Yay, we got it!"
Yeah, exactly. Because they've had these fighting collections before on Xbox, and for a bunch of the Capcom games, and I never remember anybody making a huge like. Now, Marvel vs. Capcom is dear to my heart, right? Marvel vs. Capcom 2 especially, and so I understand that aspect of it, but it's still one of those things that you're probably going to play here and there, and not like
Yeah.
no life like a lot of the other games that are coming out. So that one, it didn't make sense to me 100% of that uproar, but it does suck to see games miss Xbox when it's something that people are excited for. Shane G with the $2 super chat says hype level and meta predictions for Avowed. Oh, that's a good question. Now, well, I guess we'll go around the table here and get the hype levels and a prediction. Sounds like fun. Like I said, guys, this is there's not a whole lot of news. We got some topics still to get. I want to have some speculation on some stuff a little bit later on too. But that's a good question, Shane. So I'm nervous to ask this question to Jasper. Jasper's Mr. I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of excited. I don't know. Hype level. Give me a percentage of hype level for Avowed.
If like when it was initially unveiled, like Avowed was like my number one most anticipated game, but like I've kind of avoided seeing all those like the last like year. Like anytime there's Avowed news, I just like I don't care because I'm like I've already been sold on the game. And I think that has made since it's been so long since I've seen it, like I'm not as hyped for it right now as I was when I initially saw it.
So you did this to
So
yourself.
like, yeah. With that being said, I am still hyped for it. I'm gonna download it when it comes out, and play it day one. And then for meta, like a 78.
Oh, that's okay. 78. What's your hype
Yeah.
level? Hype level percentage?
Hype level percentage, like
Yeah, hype meter. Like imagine a bar is like this.
yeah, I'm like trying to compare it to like there's some games where I'm just like I gotta have this, but I'm just not getting that for Avowed right now. Like
Okay,
so,
so like
yeah,
60%,
yeah,
70,
it's like 60,
60%
yeah,
hype
60,
meter.
70.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough, man.
There's some games you can just like feel in your gut. You're like I gotta have this, and it's just not that happening
I
right now
think you
for me.
missed some of the more recent showings and talk about it, which
Yeah.
like there was a, did you see the rapid fire interview?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so there's it's a short like 10-minute video, but it's like 170 questions or some shit, like
Yeah.
just rapid fire, bing bang boom, you know. And Carrie Patel, who is in charge of this game, just rapid fire answers all of them, and even that alone was like, okay, yeah, I'm getting really fucking excited like for this game, because you can see the confidence. Fuzzy hype meter
Yeah.
percentage.
Oof. All right. Well, I'll start off with what I think the Metacritic is going to be. I
Okay,
think it's going to hover between 86 to 89,
okay,
somewhere in that range. I don't think it'll crack 90. It probably should, but I don't think it'll crack 90 because reasons with the gaming media. Um, but I'm more hyped for this than Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I've already purchased that. Or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I already purchased it. So uh, I've yet to download it and play it on my PC yet, but yeah, for the most part, it's an RPG. I'm looking forward to it. It's Obsidian. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Um, I would say I'm looking forward to probably 80 hours plus of gameplay, falling into the Pillars of Eternity world and whatnot. So, and I'm hearing some really positive things from some that have early access. So I'm definitely the hype isn't quite as high just yet as South of Midnight, but it's not too far off. Let's
yeah,
just say that.
right on. So I'll be the like, okay, so two things. I love Obsidian, I love RPGs, and I love fantasy. Right? So it's like checking all the boxes for me ever since this
Mhm.
game was announced, right? I've played Pillars 1, I played Pillars 2. Like a lot of games, I didn't beat them, but I understand them. I understand a lot of the lore. I understand what's going on and how the systems work and everything. I have a lot of respect for Obsidian as a studio. I'm gonna say my hype meter is 99.5% right now. It's my number 2 most anticipated game this year. Number 1 is Fable, right? So Avowed is right behind Fable. Again, fantasy RPGs, love. And I think it's gonna check all the boxes. Right? I think this is gonna be an amazing game. So also getting to the reviews, I it's hard to predict what the bigger games media is gonna do. You know, because you have clickbait stuff. I would argue
Yeah.
that there was a couple clickbait reviews for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that lowered the score below a 90, right?
Yeah, and then they got called out, but
Yeah, they got called out, and everybody didn't like the fact that it got called out. But it is what it is. I think that was I think they're bullshit scores that are just there for clickbait, also, right? From the usual suspects. Let's just be honest, right? So it's hard to predict what games media in general will do. I think there is still a um there's a there is a tax on Xbox games because of the
I'm just between like a
engagement.
78 and 81. Like that's where I'm
Um,
hovering.
I I'm gonna go out on a limb though, and I'm gonna say that this game becomes a super beloved game because I think the writing is gonna be amazing. I think the gameplay is gonna be fun. I think the world's gonna be super engaging, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say this game's gonna get a 92 meta.
Nice.
I mean, I'm reaching here just because all these things exist out there that I've been talking about, but I just have a feeling like this game is going to be super well done, well made, polished, written well, great story, great characters, fun gameplay. I think it's gonna like do Obsidian RPG like they've never been able to do before. So like Machine Games being able to pull off Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
Now even that didn't crack 90, I don't think. What is Indiana Jones on Meta, like 87, something like that, 80, 88? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely high 80s.
But I mean that game, let's just be honest, that deserves a fucking 90 something.
86.
Yeah, I mean that game is just like incredible, right? So it's hard to predict with games media these days. Back in the day, I'd be able to easily look at this and say, "Oh, that's going to be a 90 plus game," for sure, right? But these days, it's hard to predict. So I'm going to go on a limb and say what I'm going to predict that I think it should be at. It will probably be around that, and we'll see if it actually gets it. So I'll say 92. I could be wrong. Personally, it's not going to affect if it gets a 78 like Jasper says, or if it gets a 86 like Fuzzy's predicting, or if it gets a 92 like I'm predicting, then anywhere in that, I'm still gonna love the game the same. It's not gonna affect my enjoyment of it one way or the other, but it can affect how well a game does. So I hope it does good with the scores. Hey, even Nate Dogg agrees with me. Indy should be a 92. Yeah. I mean,
we had that one site give it a 4 because they hate Xbox. What was that, Stevio or whatever? One of them places gave it like a 4 just to be spiteful.
Yeah, Starfield got a 4 from somebody because they said that Bethesda hates trans people in the review.
Oh yeah, it was a Jim Star.
Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it gets actually weighted in a score on something like Meta, and that review brought down its score. On the overall. So it's like, what are you gonna do about that? Like, how can reviews like that actually be counted as legitimate? But they do. It is what it is. So somebody actually gave Indiana Jones a 4?
Yeah.
God.
I can't remember if it was because of it being on Xbox or something. I guess they didn't get the memo. It was coming to PlayStation at the time. There was a knucklehead place Indy was sitting in low 90s. It was like a 91 or something at one point, and then that 4 came through, and it was like a 4 out of 10. I'm like, that took it all the way down to, I think at that point, 88 or 89. I'm like, that should be like one of those things where it's almost like, how you throw out the highest score and the lowest score, but then there would be probably 2 knuckleheads that give it a 4. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand some criticism here and there for certain things, but like to go out there and give some kind of ridiculous low score just for the engagement, pretty much, like, I don't know. And I feel like that's a part of the problem with reviews in general. I think reviewers are so reviewing just for them now, like, as opposed to judging a game for like overall quality with like categories and with an objective mindset, that you lose the fact of who the review is for. The review is not for your own personal self. The review is for the readers, right? So you're like, you should be judging things based on quality, and a lot of different aspects. So it's like, hey, it's not like a fun hack and slash action game. I hate this. I'm going to give it a 4. Well, it's not the fucking kind of game that it is or ever was supposed to be. So it needs to be judged according to what it's trying to be. You know what I mean? And that's the problem, I think, with game reviewers these days, and where they've even been public about this, some of them, about their job is to be subjective, not objective, and stating this actually on Twitter and stuff. And there's the subjectivity in everything because people are different and people have different preferences and opinions on things. So there's always going to be subjectiveness to anybody's interpretation of a score, but the hallmark of being somebody that was good at grading and judging things for the public used to be the ability to put your biases to the side and objectively critique and praise things for the betterment of their viewers and the audience to make qualified purchasing decisions. Right? That's the basis of what a review is. Not, I like this because it's cool. It's my style. It's like super action and fun, which is my kind of thing. So that's why I like it. Like it doesn't it could be a janky fucking mess, but hey, that person likes it because he likes this kind of game, and we've lost that with reviews over the years, but it is what it is. It's not changing, I don't think. Yeah, Mac 20. How do you say this? Mac 22th 54. 22th 54. Like it should be 22nd 54, but it's 22th 54. Anyway, I appreciate it. 22th Mac says, wasn't someone his excuse for giving Indiana Jones a 4 because it wasn't like Uncharted? Yeah, you see crazy stuff, man. You see crazy stuff. Like one of the most optimized, bigger scale games this generation. Great graphics, very exploratory, big game, diverse areas to explore. Like it's just does a lot of things like very well. Writing is great. Mac 22T H54. That's Mac 22T H5. Why is there a space between the H and the 5? Okay, so you're trying to say, okay. Mac 22T H54. Is that from something? It sounds like it's like from a sci-fi movie or something, like the name of a robot or something. I don't know. Maybe not. Thanks, Mac. Appreciate you, bro. Fuzzy says, I try to ignore the highest 10 and lowest 10 scores. Yeah. I don't know. I always look at the highest scores. I don't like a lot of negativity all the time. I think it's one of my flaws, actually. I like try and look too much to the positive stuff. But yeah, guys, there was another thing that happened today. Something came out, and this is on our thumbnail, as you may see. Now there was a game that we were excited. This was announced years ago. This was announced like 3 years ago, maybe. Maybe even 4 years ago. I can't remember how long ago it was announced. But we found out, Wonder Woman was being made by Monolith, and I was like, wow, okay, that's gonna be crazy. You got the Nemesis system in a fucking Wonder Woman game, and they had confirmed at the time it's gonna have Nemesis system and all this stuff. It's like, how is this gonna fucking work? This is gonna be crazy. Could be one of the cooler DC games we've gotten. Well, turns out that we found out today that development hasn't been going so well on that thing, and it got rebooted last year. So I don't know, man. Now also we found out that Hogwarts Legacy 2 may be greenlit, which is a positive. But I don't know, this laid into what seeming like something we were expecting to hopefully get another release date or a release date trailer or something this year, maybe, for. I found out that it was rebooted last year completely. I don't know if it's going well for Wonder Woman. I was a little disappointed in that because I was excited to see what they could do with this game. I'm wondering why it was rebooted.
I mean, like, what I hope for the reason why it was rebooted, but I highly doubt it. Like 1% chance this is the reason. Is the Wonder Woman was so good in the Suicide Squad game that they're like, oh, we need to do that. But yeah. I don't know.
But everybody hated Suicide Squad, apparently.
I know, that's why I'm like, I highly doubt it.
Except for the people that played it. Everybody hated hated Suicide Squad except for the people that played it.
Yeah.
It seems like. Anyway.
Because like Wonder Woman was like honestly some of the best parts of Suicide Squad. Like she was definitely the best like hero, like I guess hero,
Anti-hero
yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
they just made her like a complete badass in that game, and I was like, wow, Wonder Woman's cool now.
yeah, I mean all the and speaking of Suicide Squad, that was okay, so my initial thought was, okay, well maybe they went away, maybe they had started pushing towards like a games of servicey kind of system or something for Wonder Woman, right? And they decided not to, right? But then I remembered that they had before, I think it was like 2 years ago or something, said that's not what Wonder Woman's going to be. They said it's going to be a single player game with a nemesis system and all that kind of stuff, right? So I was like, okay, well that's not. But now I'm wondering, oh shit, does this mean that it's not going to be that anymore and it's going to be, games of servicey type Wonder Woman game? Not that I have necessarily a problem if it's good. It's a good game's a good game to me, but I was really looking forward to that vision for what that could
I mean, they
be.
kind of did that with the Shadow of Mordor. Was that the second one or whatever the second Shadow game was?
Yeah.
Where like you could buy like stuff to upgrade your base or some shit like that or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
They added, but that's just
So
like an added like
yeah,
little element thing to it, not like
yeah,
complete overhaul.
yeah.
When they talk about rebooting, it's like, well, hey guys, these last 3 years have been great. Let's start over. You know, like and this reminds me also of the development of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and Gotham Knights, because those games were originally there was going to be another Batman game, right? That
We heard you was on
was
that today too.
did we? What was
Yeah,
that
there
one?
was some shit about they're going back to Arkham games or some shit like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rocksteady.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I remember something about that, like actually before today, but maybe they reiterated it today. I'm guessing this all came from like an investor call or something. I'm not sure, but
probably.
the I remember WB Montreal and Rocksteady were both working on different projects. Supposedly at the time, R- WB Montreal was working on a Suicide Squad thing. This was back when WB was trying to push Suicide Squad as like the next big franchise, right? And Rocksteady was going to be making another Batman game or something like that.
Mhm.
And then something happened. They got rebooted, cancellations internally, all these things. Then it turned out WB Montreal started making Gotham Knights, and Rocksteady started making Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, right? Then they were all officially announced at some point. And for me, honestly, I think we got two good games out of it. Now, a lot of
Yeah.
people may argue with that, but I think both games are great in different ways, and really fun to play. Good graphics, great gameplay, really well made, good stories. Characters look great. I mean, I don't have a lot of issues with either of these games, other than we didn't get what I think a lot of us wanted. Still, was the next Batman game, right? And in spite of these, because these were developed instead. So it was promising to me when we found out that Monolith was making Wonder Woman, because it's like, okay, that's going to be another cool ass single player like franchise that we can get behind, like superhero, but it's going to have this really unique nemesis system thing. And I was just wrapping my head around how that's going to work with a Wonder Woman game, all this stuff. And now it's rebooted, so well, I don't know what that means for the game. But Fuzzy, what do you think that means for the development of this game? Like, is it rebooted to change into something else, or was the development going so poorly that they feel like they needed to fresh start? I got no idea why they rebooted this late in the game.
Yeah, I had heard some rumblings a while back. Uh, I can't remember if it was a director change or if there was some other internal struggle or something, but there were some conflicts as far as the direction for the game. I didn't hear the part about the reboot, just knew it was taking much longer than anticipated kind of thing. Um, yeah. WB, I think we can blame IGN or thank IGN and places like that for really going out of their way to crap all over Suicide Squad. Like I think there are times where I think we should blast the gaming media for the stuff that they do when they make it more personal than this like objective critique of games, because sometimes you may not want a game to be a certain way, but it still winds up being a good game. But just because you didn't want it to be this way and you make a big to do about something, you potentially kill or pigeonhole a studio or a publisher into making a certain type of game that may not succeed either. Like, they made that big to do about Suicide Squad. It didn't do as well. They didn't really say anything bad about Gotham Knights. It's just that it had its other flaws with, not being 60 frames or at least having that option on console type of thing. It got ignored. It didn't do as well either, or it didn't meet expectations, primarily probably because it wasn't a Batman game. But I think that's what kind of caused Wonder Woman to get some more rework. Suicide Squad cost them a lot of money. I mean, we see WB is doing things differently accordingly because of it. And to ignore like the failure of Concord and how that affects Sony, no matter how successful they may have been prior or even after, it definitely affects some of their decisions. Hence, a lot of game cancellations in that games as a service genre kind of deal. So Suicide Squad changes, even though that Wonder Woman was intended to be a single player. They look back at Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights didn't meet the expectations. Our games as a service didn't meet expectations. So we got to change stuff up. We got to do something different. And if that means sending the team back to the drawing board and they go completely out of sorts, something with Nemesis would have probably been, pure gold. Now we don't even know if it'll have a Nemesis system at this point. So I don't know. Sometimes I just wish the gaming media would go away. But
I guess you could take this another way also. Like, WB has seen the success of Hogwarts Legacy so much so that maybe with that they're like, how do we turn this into make this another Hogwarts Legacy situation where it's like the biggest fucking game ever? They're gonna try to capture that magic, but they don't understand that Hogwarts Legacy is just a magic on itself. Like, you just can't
IP
create
is
that.
part of that.
Well, this is something that we actually talked about after the WB Discovery merger happened, and there was a lot of conversations about what they were going to be doing with the gaming division, because all of their forward-facing conversations at the time were about them creating the unified streaming app for everybody. We're going to take on all the streaming giants and stuff, and they really didn't focus a lot on gaming in the talks until Hogwarts Legacy dropped. And then it was like, well, hey, we love gaming. Wow, we're making all this fucking money. Gaming's amazing, right? Holy shit, this is incredible. We're going to be going all in on our huge franchises with gaming. You started to see those kind of conversations, right? But I think they didn't have enough experience as that entity, like understanding the business side of it, because what we had talked about back then was, okay, well, they have this success, but will they have the taste for the development of big games going forward? Because these games that were launching had already been in development for years, right? Hogwarts Legacy had already been in development. They're reaping the benefits now, right? But it was a risk that they took back then when they were still owned by AT&T that is paying off for them. So they didn't have the whole trials and tribulations of, okay, let's greenlight this project. It's going to cost how much? Okay, we're going to see this through to development and then release it. Hey, we had a success. Great. No, they just said, okay, what do we have on the pipeline of releases coming up? We just got to finish funding these games and stuff. Okay, we got Gotham Knights had just dropped. It didn't hit that well. Got Hogwarts Legacy. We'll see how that does, and we'll judge what we're going to do with gaming from here. Hogwarts Legacy is a home run. Oh my God, gaming's great. let's make a ton of fucking Harry Potter shit. We're just gonna games of service the shit out of Harry Potter because if it's Harry Potter, people love it, you know. And that's kind of what the messaging was from them at the time. They're gonna focus on that kind of stuff, and then you see, I think they internally thought Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was gonna be this like slam bam, thank you ma'am, home run kind of hit. Oh yeah, we got Hogwarts out. Next thing is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. We're gonna be rolling easy here in the gaming space. We're just gonna set us up, and we're gonna be able to fund all these things. You know, it didn't do very well, right? So now it's like it's like I get the sense that they're like evaluating everything. You know, okay, how are we going to go forward now? Because wow, it sucks paying for these games if we don't know if they're going to hit or not. And they take years to develop. How many years of development are we going to be willing to put up with, and hundreds of millions of dollars and stuff per game, and not even knowing if they're going to be a success or not? This seems too risky, you know, almost. And that's kind of like the sense I'm getting from them now. This, I have the Bloomberg article that all this came from here in front of me now. This is from our very much beloved Jason Schreier. You know, we all love good old Jason Schreier. It says Wonder Bros. Video game division faces thin slate, leadership uncertainty, and Wonder Woman issues. Last year, Warner Brothers Discovery took $300 million in losses on gaming. The near future is rife with additional challenges. It says in January, Warner Brothers Discovery Inc. revealed that David Haddad, head of the struggling video game division, would be stepping down. To some who worked closely with the veteran executive, the news didn't come as a surprise. Their only question was why it had taken so long. Warner Brothers Games had just suffered through a dismal year, marked by a $200 million write-down in May on a painful flop, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, followed a few months later by a $100 million write-down due to the failures of Harry Potter Quidditch Champions and the fighting game Multiverses. Warner Brothers Chief Executive Officer David Zaslav told investors in November that the company's video game business was substantially underperforming its potential. With access to a bounty, that's just what you want to tell to investors, right? You have your investors call, well, guys, here's what I got to tell you about gaming. Substantially underperforming what it could be. Does that get you excited for investments in the future in gaming?
No.
No? Okay.
That
we have more potential.
Like, is this Square Enix?
But there's potential. Come on, guys, there's potential. We're just underperforming right now. Like, with access to a bounty of popular entertainment franchises like Batman, The Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones, I guess they still own the gaming rights to The Lord of the Rings, maybe. But Embracer Group owns the Lord of the Rings franchise now, so maybe there's a deal in place for gaming rights, or that could be Schreier not knowing for sure. I don't know. Warner Brothers video game division should be able to compete with industry titans such as Take-Two Interactive Software Inc. and Electronic Arts Inc. The unit employs more than 2,000 people across a dozen subsidiaries with offices across the world. But Haddad's tenure has left major gaps in its portfolio that will likely persist for the next year or two. According to people familiar with the business, the company had been counting on Suicide Squad and Multiverses to generate revenue throughout this year, but instead has ended support for both games. In the wake of this miscalculation, Warner Brothers now has little to release in the stretch ahead. Beyond a refreshed version of the 2023 hit Hogwarts Legacy, a Lego title, and a few mobile games. One of the company's biggest bets in development, a video game based on Wonder Woman, has struggled to coalesce. According to people familiar with the project, early last year it was rebooted and switched directors. The game has already cost more than $100 million, said the people who asked not to be identified discussing non-public information, and is still years away from release if it ever makes it to market. JB Perret said, from Warner Brothers, head of games and global streaming, said in an interview that the company remains bullish on video games and that he will take a larger role running the division as the company looks for Haddad's successor. We'll get right back to profitability in 2025, Perez said. We won't get back to the profitability we want to get back to in the next 2 to 3 years. It will take 2 to 3 years to rebuild, reset to levels we want to be at, but the bounce back is immediate as far as going from loss making to profitability. According to interviews with 24 current and former Warner Bros. Employees, a lack of strong, cohesive vision during Haddad's reign, a tumultuous period in which Warner Brothers struggled through multiple reorganizations, led to years of ineffectual trend chasing and wasted development time. Oh man, that almost sounds like something we've complained about with big publishers in gaming for a long time. What is this again? Led to years of ineffectual trend chasing and wasted development time. Oh, geez. That's how you
Is
lose
the
money,
Utes over
guys.
there?
PlayStation, we're looking at you too, guys. Just saying. PlayStation, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers, canceled projects, chasing trends, canceled games, flops because they're chasing something other than what the developers wanted to make in the first place.
It's crazy how armchair quarterbacks have been saying this for years, and now they finally know the reason.
Yeah, it's almost like the easy home runs that they seem to always want to avoid may be the answers to actually making great games that people want to buy. I don't know. Along the way, once revered studios under the Warner Brothers umbrella have taken reputational hits, lost key staff members, and burned through hundreds of millions of dollars. Haddad, a Harvard Business School graduate who spent the early part of his career at toy and entertainment companies, joined Warner Brothers Games in 2013 and became head of the... I don't care where he's from. Okay, let me move on. Colleagues describe him as a polished executive who does not appear to spend much time playing video games himself. Jim Ryan-esque, maybe? I don't know. Something subordinates occasionally found challenging as they tried to talk through the nuances of product decisions. Yeah, I could imagine person being in charge of video games not under fucking standing what video games are for a company being a little bit of an issue. I get sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But anyway. Staff also griped that it could take months to receive answers to their questions on matters big and small, ranging from a studio's next game to whether they would participate in the annual E3 trade conference. Man. It just sounds like massive just mismanagement. The executives in Burbank may have felt pressure to avoid making big calls at the time because the entire organization was beset with uncertainty. Shortly after Haddad started, the division parent company was purchased by the telecom giant AT&T, triggering a lengthy antitrust trial, and then, before long, spun out to merge with Discovery Inc. The corporate shakeups left head spinning and generated constant buzz that the video game division might be for sale, which it was at one point. Remember, they were actually receiving offers from companies, one being Microsoft at the time was turned out that they were declined, and then the WB Discovery merger happened. Says there was a lot going on politically within the organization. Just what you want to hear, about the people making the decisions for your games. We got some in-house politics going. It's affecting the ability for us to make games. Sorry, guys. This sounds like a Ubisoft thing. Also, you might as well replace this guy Haddad with Yves Guillemot. Right?
Maybe they should combine forces.
Maybe they should combine forces and say, we are fucked studios.
Bottom barrel.
Yeah.
Bottom barrel development.
Chasing Trends Games.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna make a game about eating Tide Pods.
Oh God.
I don't know what the new trends are the kids nowadays do. So
it's a mini game. Do not try this at home.
Out here for a while on TikTok, it was steal a Hyundai.
Oh my God. Sounds like a fun one. By 2023, the landscape appeared to be stabilizing, and Zaslav was citing the company's video game business as a unique strength. Yeah, because they released, what would we say, Hogwarts Legacy, and they were like, holy shit, this is making tons of money, right? Eventually, Warner Brothers could decide to emulate Walt Disney Co. and license more of its franchises to external companies. I think we'll see more licenses get farmed out to experienced developers while the remaining Warner Brothers game studios are left to focus on the things they are good at, he said. Perret says, despite the short-term challenges, the company is willing to stick with the games business for the long haul. This is a long cycle investment business. It's one where it's not for the faint of heart. Okay. Be interesting. Okay, so this is a breakdown of the studios. Monolith was once a darling of Warner Brothers Gaming Group, thanks to the hit 2014 game Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor. A sequel released in 2017 did well, yet failed to surpass the first title. Afterwards, the studio began working on a brand new franchise that would experiment with procedural storytelling. But executives at Warner Brothers weren't particularly interested in creating new characters and universes from scratch. According to people familiar with the discussions, they suggested to Monolith's crew that they should attach the project to one of the company's many established franchises, such as Game of Thrones or something in the DC Comics portfolio. The developers, who had won critical acclaim with Shadows of Mordor's unique Nemesis narrative system, in which fallen enemies could come back to life with memory of the protagonist's actions, struggled to graft another existing franchise onto their nascent ideas.
See, I think that's right there's the problem is they forced Montreal to
Yep.
make a game that they didn't want to make.
100%. 100%. It says the game plodded along for more than 3 years in something of a standoff where executives at Warner Brothers appeared to know it wasn't going to happen, but did not take decisive action. In 2021, Warner Brothers finally canceled it. The head of Monolith, Kevin Stevens, and most of his directors quit and started a new studio rival with rival EA. The remaining staff soon pivoted to a game based on the Wonder Woman comic books. It has now been more than 7 years since the last studio's game. An initial version of Wonder Woman tried reimagining the Nemesis system with the game's namesake heroine befriending enemies, but that idea has since been tossed out in favor of a more traditional action-adventure game. Now, Wonder Woman's fate remains in question, according to the people familiar with the business, because of challenges following the changes in Monolith's leadership and issues surrounding the game's technology. Well, it sounds like the people that were really great with the Nemesis system fucking left and hightailed it and went to EA. Is what it sounds like. I don't know.
Or at least all the leadership.
Yeah. WB Games Montreal. Yeah. It says, so WB Games Montreal helmed 2013's Batman Arkham Origins and supported other projects as one of the biggest pieces in Warner Brothers' collection of gaming assets. 2016, not long after Haddad took over the division, the studio received a new mandate. At the time, the success of titles such as Grand Theft Auto Online and Destiny, which generated recurring revenue streams long after release by convincing players to spend money on in-game purchases, was ramping up the pressure on executives across the industry to push for their own live service games at Warner Brothers. The favored buzzword became digitally powered. The Montreal studio began working on a new live service Batman game that it hoped would freshen up the franchise by ditching Bruce Wayne.
Hey, we want to make a Batman game, but we don't want fucking Batman in it.
That's the Montreal studio began working on a new live service Batman game that it hoped would freshen up the franchise by ditching Batman. Like how this is so fucking funny, man. I'm having trouble not laughing throughout this. Like and this was a mandate also from them to make a live service game as well, which, surprise, we've been trying to say this, for a long time. It's probably what happened with many of these games.
When your dev team has no passion for the thing they're making, the game's just going to be fucking get it out, done. They don't care about it, and it's going to flop. Seen that time and time again.
It's like it's weird too, because I think it's a good game, and I think Suicide Squad is a good game, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, and they're polished, they look good, all that stuff. But it's like there's still something missing, because it felt like they were for a purpose for the company, not for the player.
Yeah.
In a way, does that make sense? Anyway.
Yeah.
That's still that sentence, like, they hope would freshen up the franchise by ditching Bruce Wayne. Halfway through development, as it struggled to make progress on the new project, the studio dropped the live service component. In 2022, it released Gotham Knights, which went on to receive mediocre reviews and generate tepid sales. Even so, based on the hard-earned lessons from the previous development cycle and equipped with new proven technology, the Montreal studio leaders wanted to make another iteration of Gotham Knights, a 1.5 version that would fix some of its predecessor's flaws. But their bosses nixed the idea, according to people familiar with the plans, and instead assigned the bulk of Montreal staff to help out with other projects across Warner Brothers. So they anthemed it.
Yep.
Because they were like, hey, let's get behind this game and make it even better and bigger and something
Fix
that
it,
the
bring
fans,
people back in.
the fans are gonna love. And Warner Brothers like, nah,
no,
you're gonna go work on other games that help out your support studio now. And the months that followed, the Montreal studio continued trying to get a new project off the ground. First, they pitched a game based on the comic book anti-hero John Constantine, who was played by Keanu Reeves in a 2005 feature film. Haddad's team, led by Vice President of Production Ben Bell, initially said they were excited about the idea, but when asked for budget and timeline approvals, they remained non-committal, according to the people familiar with the plans. WB Montreal wanted to make a fucking Constantine game.
Man, talk about a thriving fan base.
Yeah.
I would have been excited for that one. Like I just imagine what they could do. I think it'd be pretty sick. It's something we'll never see now. But yeah, it is more in the niche, like fan base of Marvel or DC. But like I think the horror elements you could do with it and interesting things with like demons and hell and like other partnerships you could have with other heroes, like could be really fucking cool, man. Yeah, we'll never see that. So after months of waffling, Bell suggested that they should work instead on a game starring a more recognizable character like the Joker or the Flash. They chose to go with the superhero Speedster, but in 2023, Warner Brothers released Flash, a lavish movie starring Ezra Miller, which bombed at the box office. The video game has since been scrapped. So this is another thing, right? It's not because of the Flash that movie bombed.
Yeah.
It's not because of the popularity of the Flash that movie bombed. Is this a little bit of self-awareness issues? A little bit?
Yeah.
Or awareness of the issues with their franchises? And what happened to make things not popular? It's like, if it fails, it's because it's the Flash. I don't know.
A tough one.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, now, if you were to put Ezra Miller as the Flash in this game, I could see how that could be an issue. Especially after he went on a kidnapping spree and started punching people in the face. I don't know everything that happened with that thing, but it was a whole thing, right? Then the movie came out.
Oh, they could have just put Brie Larson as the Flash so she could shit in people's beds real quick and then leave.
No, that wasn't Brie Larson.
Wow.
That was Amber Heard.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Amber Heard. Amber Turd. Sorry.
Yeah.
Amber Turd. Yeah. It just keeps getting funnier the more I read this. This is probably Jason Schreier's most comedic article I've ever read, actually. Over the past 2 years, most of Montreal's leadership have resigned, not just because of the lack of new games, but also due to frustration with their corporate bosses, according to people familiar with the events. Is this why we kept hearing these people join the studio under this, and it's like WB talent all leaving for other places? I'm wondering what they're making at EA.
I mean, I'm sure they also probably got a nice paycheck when Discovery bought them or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. Over the let's see. Now the Montreal studio is helping out with other projects such as Wonder Woman, while working on a pitch for a new game based on Game of Thrones. Avalanche Software. Warner Brothers' biggest hit in recent years was Hogwarts Legacy, developed by subsidiary Avalanche Software in Salt Lake. Due to conflicting visions and a team that lacked experience with the genre, the game took several turbulent years to develop. Teams were brought in from almost every WB studio and some external ones to help. Executives weren't sure how audiences would react following J.K. Rowling's controversial comments about transgender people.
This is the problem.
And a
they're
subsequent
just
backlash.
so up into this fucking like controversial shit that it's like,
Yeah,
just get out of your own ass and just make a fucking game.
But it had been more than a decade since the last Harry Potter game, and a Hogwarts Legacy clicked with fans who were desperate for a new entry in the beloved universe. It went on to sell more than 34 million copies, according to WB, and became the best-selling video game of 2023. In September, WB published a follow-up game, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, based on the broom-centric sport from the hit series. It received middling reviews and has underperformed, a sign that not everything Harry Potter related is guaranteed to rack up huge sales. Well, no shit. Avalanche is now working on new content for Hogwarts Legacy as well as a sequel. But questions linger about whether the success of the first game can ever be replicated, let alone surpassed, or if the pent-up demand has already been satiated. Well, Hogwarts Legacy 2, if they do what they did but better and bigger, will it captivate the same way that Hogwarts Legacy did, guys?
I mean,
I think it should, but yeah, you go ahead, Jasper.
I was gonna say, like, it will be a huge game no matter what. But I think the thing with Hogwarts Legacy, it was just that right time where, in the right moment, where everyone was talking about it, and that's the hard thing to capture. But no doubt, Hogwarts Legacy 2 will be a huge game.
Yeah. I don't know. The more I read this, I have less faith in the management at WB to make the right decisions, Rocksteady Studios. Buoyed by the success of Hogwarts Legacy, Haddad invested heavily in Warner Brothers' next big title, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which has been in development for more than 6 years at Rocksteady. Telling staff that it could also be a billion-dollar game, he and his team greenlit TV commercials and successfully pushed for coverage on the Warner Brothers' own cable news network, CNN. But Rocksteady, the developer of the beloved Batman Arkham trilogy, was admired for its single-player games and had attracted employees who knew how to make such titles. Pivoting to Suicide Squad, a multiplayer shooter, was an awkward fit that led to attrition and turmoil. Late in production, Rocksteady bosses Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill left to start a new company and recruited former colleagues to join them. Ultimately, fans didn't have the appetite for another online shooter, and the game tanked. Rocksteady gave up on plans for content after the first year, ending the story with a hasty animation that backtracked on some of the narrative's most controversial aspects, revealing that the superheroes, spoiler alert, thought to be dead were in fact clones. Now, Rocksteady is looking to return to Batman for a single-player game, but according to people familiar with the timeline, the new project is years away from landing. So Wonder Woman's years away. Rocksteady's next game obviously will be years away, as we would have assumed. Apparently, Avalanche is making Hogwarts Legacy 2, which is probably also a couple years away, I would assume. And Monolith is working on, they're the ones working on Wonder Woman. WB Games Montreal is basically a support studio now. Maybe making potential Game of Thrones game, because that's what they're working on a pitch for.
Now, hold on, WB. I must remind you that the last season of Game of Thrones was not received very well, so you should probably cancel that too.
Right? So, I don't know. I see the hope that the new people in charge have to rectify and get them on path. They said they're going to be profitable next year, supposedly, but not where they want to be. They said that they are underperforming their potential. We see the decisions that were made. They wasted time in development, millions of dollars, years lost, and people leaving left and right. I don't know, man. I think that this is. I think that the studios that are there are talented, but I just don't know if I have faith with the people in charge, because they've been kind of dictating a little too much on the vision of these games, right? Now I want to add that James Gunn was put in charge of the whole DC Universe thing. And part of the thing that he's talked about when that was announced is that the games were going to be a part of it, and it was all going to be connected going forward. So how is that going to work? You know, with their decisions going forward as well. Does that also put more kind of handicap and handcuffs on what these developers are able to do creatively? Um, and it's gonna be interesting years ahead for WB. There was no report on here on NetherRealm, you know, talking about NetherRealm and Mortal Kombat and whatever their second game's supposed to be. So
Yeah,
we
that's
gotta hope for
weird
the
because
best for
like
them.
Mortal Kombat, it was kind of received well, but I think it kind of underperformed in sales, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
underperformed the expectations comparatively to the last games, right? And it could be warranted, it could be not. I think that the tone of the game comes across like less exciting for people that are like really into Mortal Kombat, you know. But if you play it, it's a fantastic game. But there's some weird things like Megan Fox's voice acting is the one character is one of the
Oh yeah.
worst things I've ever heard in a video game before. Um, but overall, I think Mortal Kombat 1 was really fun to play and a really well made game again. Supposedly NetherRealm had another game, but I don't know what the status of that is. So maybe it was another cancellation, another project they moved on for. Don't know, right? But I'm curious if at some point here they might lose the taste for the gaming business again. Being years away from any payoff that's unguaranteed, as they've had numerous failures. Um, the whole company apparently not doing as well, right? As it could have wanted to. At some point, do they revisit their past ambitions to move on from this? And question is like, how would they do that? You know, because I look at this now and I almost look at it like, okay, they're in a better position than Ubisoft because they're not entirely reliant just on the games division, right? They have movies, they have TV shows, they have uh, you know, Max subscription for that and all these things, right? But losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year can be a very detriment to your business. Um, but I don't really see any takers without the licenses, and that's what makes their other aspects of their
Yeah, I
business
mean,
strong. So they're not going to give that
I
up,
think
you know.
I think ultimately they just cut funding and a lot of people get layoffs, but the studios survive and then they'll get a game out. Could be big, could not be. And then when they do get that big hit, if they do, they'll be like, "Oh, we need to reinvest." It's just going to be a cycle for them
Mm.
until you get a CEO or a leadership there that actually understands the gaming business.
Yeah. Here's what I foresee. I foresee more people leaving, starting other studios or going to take jobs at other prominent publishers and stuff. I see more of these studios becoming a shell of what they once were, causing more development problems and development hell on these projects that they're being forced to kind of make. And at some point, they decide that, well, we're going to be better off doing what they said in the article, potentially like the Disney move. And we're going to basically maybe keep a couple studios, right? Maybe they keep the Hogwarts developer, you know, maybe they keep Rocksteady just because, you know, they think that they could have another home run with the Batman game or something. Let everybody else go, sell the studios off or something, right? Or just lay them off or close them, and then hire other companies and license the games out like Marvel does, right?
You see, that's the thing though. Like, do they learn from Disney's lesson though? Because Disney's like they've kind of said that they've regretted getting out of the gaming business at
Right, and they
times.
said they've wanted to, but it's like an
Yeah,
internal that they're having internal discussions about that because it's like, hey, if we make it, we make more money, you know, but there's also more risk as well. And you also have the whole task of like really embracing and supporting the developers, right? And the teams. So I don't know. It's almost like Marvel's done it in a really good way, in my opinion, with under Disney, with how they've done that. Like Marvel did, they did the deal with Insomniac, so they got the Spider-Man games, right? And we've seen from the leaks, they make a shit ton of money off of those sales. Their cut's pretty damn good, right? I mean, they're making Blade with Microsoft or the Xbox Bethesda Arcane, right? They're doing the Amy Hennig is making the Captain America Black Panther game as well, right?
But see that at the same time, like a lot of those studios aren't afraid to like make games with those characters because their movies do really well. They're like constantly have good reception in pop culture. Whereas DC, like every fucking DC movie is like, this is fucking terrible. You fucking ruined Batman for me. My childhood's over. Like,
right. But
so
I will say this, Jasper. But whose fault is that? It's not the popularity of the characters.
Yeah.
Creators. Right? So can other creators or other teams do a better job than them themselves?
I'm just saying that I'm thinking that those other studios are afraid to take on those IPs now because of the negativity around those characters.
I don't know, man. Like a hit Batman game can be as big or bigger than a hit Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Like Batman was the shit. Right? Now, it's been tainted somewhat, but when there's a Batman release, like it's crazy popular,
Yeah, I
and
mean, Batman's like kind of the outlier, but like
Yeah.
Flash and stuff like that, like
yeah,
some
because
of
they've fucked it
the
up.
lesser
Like,
tier characters.
yeah, because they fucked. Okay, so you have the Justice League characters, right? You have like Batman, you have Green Lantern,
Batman and Superman's the only one that fucking really stand out.
Superman.
Still,
It's hard to think of a Superman game and how it's gonna be made, right? Flash, I would say, also kind of has that problem. Like, how do you play as the Flash? Because like, how do you run at super speed and control that in a video game and make it seem like a thing? It'd be interesting to see how they could recreate that. So I think some of their characters are kind of harder to develop games around.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is like, hey, fucking swing around and shit. Batman's easy to figure out too. You got gadgets, you fucking glide, Wonder Woman, I would think, would be simpler too, because like, you can kind of figure out how a lot of that, it's just OP as shit. You know what I mean? Just make her super strong, fast. But yeah, I think it's a problem with trying to figure out how to stay true to the characters and the game development as part of it. So the Batman verse works well because it's grounded.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's why a lot of they've kind of stuck to that in a lot of ways. But that's also one of the best. You got the Joker. You got great characters in there. So I'm just saying, if you're a fucking developer out there somewhere, you got a chance to make a Batman game, I'm jumping at the chance. Like if Microsoft or Xbox announced like tomorrow, hey, we signed a publishing deal and we're going to make Batman the Caped Crusader, and it's releasing in 2027. The fucking world would explode. Everybody would be like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. But it also would go everywhere, right? And we know that at Xbox will do deals like this for properties that they don't own now, because they did it with Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, but then WB comes in and is like, we're only willing to give up Martian Manhunter.
I don't know. I'm thinking about like how to help WB, but because you can't necessarily just, without buying all of WB Discovery, you're not getting what's really important. That's the IP, right? So how do you help them help themselves? How do we help me help you? Help me help you. I'm looking at Microsoft. the company
Mhm.
that's willing to put their games everywhere, but still do a publishing deal, like they did for Ninja Gaiden, right? Like they're also doing for Blade, right? Now, even on Ninja Gaiden, they went outside for other developers, right? Team Ninja and Platinum. For Blade, it's an internal development, but you could look at it and say, okay, well, Machine Games, Indiana Jones, another example. Like, hey, did you like what we did with Indiana Jones? Hey, imagine if we could do that with Batman. Help us help you, WB. Let's make some fucking good games. I'm speaking on behalf of Xbox in the world. DC needs a resurrection in the gaming space. And I think that you should look outside because you have sabotaged your studios internally and allow other people to make more games so we get more cool shit. It's
It's kind of
awesome.
weird how they like thinking about like the popularity of the character stuff and like grounded in what works. Like it's kind of odd they never went with Green Arrow because they
Uh,
made the whole big CW thing, like the whole Green Arrow verse and shit. Like
Why wasn't
that would
he
have
an
worked.
added on character to like Gotham Knights or something?
Yeah,
Extra content. Like that would have been perfect. There's so much. Yeah, I agree with you. Green Arrow is like an overlooked character, 100%. You
yeah.
could build a complete awesome thing around it. So I'm looking at just the potential there, and I think they need influx of cash as well on their game side. So maybe they could start to look outside with publishing deals. Would that be something that you think Xbox could be interested in, Fuzzy, from their
I
side?
think they would. I think they would be interested. It's as we all know, Indiana Jones. I'm pretty sure it squashed some of Phil's fears as far as doing the whole licensing stuff. Um, bear in mind, Blade was already a signed deal
Yeah.
before the acquisition, or just prior type of deal. Same thing with Indiana Jones, but it goes to show how well it did, enough to the point where it got Lucasfilms asked them to make a sequel or approve like a trilogy to some extent for the game. So Xbox, I think, has the talent, the studios, and if they don't have the studios available because of the other projects they're already working on, they have the cash to work with a third party and then just be the publisher for it. So they have a lot more options than WB does. I think they have, at least at the moment, a couple more options than what PlayStation would be willing to do. But yeah, I kind of hope, with the exception of it leading to potential layoffs for their current or existing employee base at the studios, I think it's probably a good idea for them to start licensing stuff, like kind of like how um, Disney did with the Star Wars stuff. Before it was only EA. EA had the lock on it. EA was, I guess, getting a little tired of making Battlefronts and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure Disney was seeing a decline in numbers because there wasn't as much excitement because there was more time between like the Battlefronts and whatnot. So allowing other studios like Massive and I'm pretty sure there's a couple other ones that are escaping me now, but letting these other studios make it, that's more money coming into their pocket without them having the overhead. Like if they're having their studios make these games, then you're paying for the talent. I mean, you're going to be paying their salaries anyway,
Yeah.
as long as they're gainfully employed. But you don't have to worry about only that project having to succeed to keep the lights on at this particular studio. You can have them work on something else or support existing stuff that's out there that can continue to bring in money, all the while you're getting a check from this third party over here for them making one of
Yeah.
your DC character movies for you.
And Matt Booty
The
has a history with WB as well, right? So
Yeah.
but the thing is, like, I don't get from Xbox, like, I don't think Xbox would necessarily go out of their way to acquire like the IP to make a game. It's more the studio itself. So like, hey, we want to make this. can we get this in the works? And the Xbox, since they have more power, they're like, yeah, we'll go talk to WB, see if we can't get it. It's not necessarily Xbox forcing the studio to make like a Batman game. It'd be more so the studio be like, hey, we want to make a Batman game.
So from my understanding on like when seeing interviews in the past about how a lot of these kind of licensed games get greenlit, it's I don't know if this happens the same way every time, but like for most of them, it seems like it was usually approached by the license holder. Like we're looking for somebody to make, a like that's how it happened with Midnight Suns. They approached Firaxis, right? That's how it happened with Insomniac and Spider-Man, right? Um, supposedly that's how it happened with Star Wars and uh and EA and stuff with the Jedi games. I think I remember seeing that in an interview as well. So it's like you can have like a company like, okay, we're gonna do a multi-game deal and let's figure out what those are, or you could say like, okay, and maybe that's approach from the other side. I don't know. Or you could say, okay, well, we are trying to fulfill our portfolio in gaming because we want to have our brands be super popular and increase the popularity of ours, and we need partners to help develop this. So, we already have this game in the works internally. We have this game in the works, but we need to fill this gap. We need to do this, do this. Who can we go out there to see who's available to make an awesome game for us and see if they'd be interested? And it seems like that's kind of how some of these things have happened before, and they'll take pitches from different studios, right? Sometimes, and say, okay, we're going to go with that one, because that seems like it's going to be the best fit for our IP and stuff. So I could envision two things. Like if they were to start doing that in some form or capacity, I could see from Xbox's side approaching WB to do like a Game Pass deal for their games that they already are cooking internally and still allow for a release multi-platform and all that kind of stuff. It gives
Yeah, I
you
think that's the benefit Xbox has nowadays is a lot of publishers see Xbox as going more multi-plat, so they're more approachable.
yeah.
Whereas in the past, Xbox had that smaller ecosystem, so they're like, we'll just go to PlayStation first.
Yeah, and you could take a Game Pass deal and get an influx of cash right away to help with development, right? And then
Yeah.
you are taking a little bit of load off of the weight of that off your shoulders, and then you still get to release your game everywhere when it comes out, right? And then it's still developed internally, co-published by Microsoft, whatever, kind of like Ninja Gaiden, right? Um, and then you have the other route, which would be more like Blade, right, or Indiana Jones, where okay, we want somebody to make this game. We're gonna do a deal with somebody to make some games for us. Hey, Microsoft, what is what's the next? What's Ninja Theory's pipeline look like? Can they do another game? What Obsidian? Can they do something else like or something like that? And and they look at it like, okay, well, yeah, we would love to work with you and do a deal or publishing deal, right? And have our studios make it. And that could happen too. That's more of like the Disney Marvel way, right? Um, right now at least. So anyway, either one could be a possibility. I just don't see with what we've read in this article.
Yeah, I don't see WB reaching out though.
Yeah, yeah, like I just think they're gonna implode, man. I mean, let's say Hogwarts. How long do we think Hogwarts Legacy 2 is away?
At least
Probably a year or two after next gen launch.
I'm thinking at least 3 to 4 years out from now. Fortunately, Hogwarts Legacy 2 didn't have a reboot yet, and I think that team could probably stick to the core, plot stuff and pull it off in 3 years. You could reuse some of the assets. I
Reuse a
know
lot of
people,
things.
get after that to some extent, but you could probably reuse some of the stuff and save your dev time and focus more on the story. So
Well, I mean, you've already made that massive world that captures a lot of that. You just have to either expand it, add on a little bit, or Like you could maybe develop another school area or something. Like one of the others, not Hogwarts, whatever the other schools are fucking called, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, okay, so if they have a gap of a couple years before another game, because they had Gotham Knights, Hogwarts Legacy, and Suicide Squad within like a 2-year period, right?
yep.
3-year period, 22, 23,
And
and
Mortal
24,
Kombat.
and Mortal Kombat. And now some of those were failures to them. Some of them were still profitable. I think MK was probably still profitable, but didn't sell as well
Yeah.
as the last couple. And
Yeah.
now you have a couple years going ahead where you don't really have anything that you're expecting anything big from. And how much weight is on the next release at that point? You know, and if the next release is like say 3 years away in 2028, and it's
But I mean,
Hogwarts
at the same
Legacy
time,
2, like if it doesn't go gangbusters for them, it's like, wow, it's
by the time they get that next release out, all these other studios are going to be due for their next release too. So you'll have like 3 or 4 games, and then that's what I'm saying. It's going to just be a never-ending cycle of like
hopefully if they don't keep
one of these are
self-sabotaging like they did. Like we
Yeah.
just found out that just last year Wonder Woman was rebooted, and that'll be several years away now, right? So that's one that they
Mhm.
would have had in the pipeline that is now gone because they are imposing shit. They don't know what they're doing. Like the most worrisome thing for me from Monolith was it seems like they forgot how to make the Nemesis system work. like like it says that they had ditched it at some point after the people left. You know, they have a trademark on that thing, right? Like that nobody's allowed to use
Yeah.
it. And
I
if
think
like
they're afraid to use it now. They might get some of their bonus cut.
so I don't know. I just hope, because I love like superhero shit. I love those characters and stuff. I hope that they figure it out, right? Maybe the other worrisome thing with they said that okay, so Schreier said nothing with immediate big within the next couple years. There was no mention of NetherRealm here as well. What happened to NetherRealm's second game?
I
Ed Boon?
always wondered who actually made uh not Rumbleverse. What the heck is that thing called?
multiverse.
Multiverse. Who made
Multiverses?
that? Which studio and within WB made it?
Oh, was it a mobile game studio?
Not sure, man.
Versus game
Because I was hoping that maybe NetherRealm was working on like a Killer Instinct, Mortal
developer
Kombat
player
crossover, but
first games.
mm,
Player first games.
Probably some
yeah, that
outside.
sounds like a mobile studio.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Player first. Okay. Shout out to, sorry, I didn't see this earlier. Let's see if I can read it right this time. With a $2 super chat, Mac 22TH54 says, "Does this help, Mav?" Wink. Yes, it greatly helps. Mac 22TH54. Now I got it. Now I know how to say it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, and I see you changed the actual name too. That helps greatly. All right, so yeah, what do we? I don't know. It just sounds really bad. We're in this like age. We've been in an age of consolidation, right? Now we're in an age of like some publishers have figured out gaming today, and some have gotten caught up in the chasing trends thing too much and have been pretty much self-sabotage. Ubisoft, WB Montreal. Not WB Montreal,
Brains.
WB Games. Yeah. So I don't know.
But I feel better about WB Games Studios than I do Ubisoft.
Yeah.
What if Assassin's Creed Shadows hits and is massive?
What, is going to give them another 6 fucking months? Like Ubisoft's been dying for 18 years. It's like just fucking die already.
Well, okay, so part of the other news was that Rainbow Six Siege 2 may be announced soon as well.
Hmm.
They have a successful Ubisoft does have a game that generates constant profit and revenue for them, right? Um, Whereas WB doesn't really have that too much. I mean, they have games that do generate money for them, but it's like most of it seems like it's been at a loss, and then some of those games that we're counting on for that they've stopped supporting, right? So I'm looking at it from like, yeah, Ubisoft's been in worse shape. I think it just in general
Yeah.
because they have. I mean, you got 20,000 developers, right?
Yeah.
Compared to what did they
Yeah,
say
man.
for this like
Like 2000, I
2,000,
think.
right? So
Yeah.
I mean, you're just talking about a lot more problems and overhead at Ubisoft with leading to a lot of the issues. Like I would say that the IP that WB has is also more valuable.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about DC characters, and they have other stuff too, obviously, right? But Ubisoft has some valuable shit that they've also squandered. So they've also had a lot of self sabotage. Maybe my question should be who's been the worst publisher of this generation, Ubisoft or WB?
Might be because I'm emotionally invested in the Division series and stuff. I would say Ubisoft has been the worst. Now, that granted, they've had some hits.
Yeah.
Motorfest did better than expected, I'm pretty sure.
I was just gonna say like the two biggest games for Ubisoft, well, at least last generation, were Rainbow Six and Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Well,
Like
Valhalla
that
was
made.
they count that as
Those
Valhalla's this gen because it launched after
Okay.
this gen
Yeah.
launch. So like, and that was their first $1 billion game was
Yeah.
Valhalla. But then after that, it
I
was
mean,
just a fucking like.
other than
It
that,
wasn't
like
a
I can't think of
downhill slide.
like I can't think of like a major successful game that Ubisoft has had in the last 10 years besides Rainbow Six and Valhalla. Like sure, like Division's done well, but
Yeah, it's
nothing on the
not.
scale of those other games.
Okay, well, what
And
about you,
Breakpoint took a
WB?
step back.
You could say
I
the really
mean,
only big success they had is Hogwarts Legacy, also, which was a massive success,
yeah.
right? But
They also don't put out fucking 13 games a year either.
right, man, it just sucks. We're in this like stage where it's like you find out all this shit's been happening behind the scenes, and it was like all of our worst fears talking about the games industry and how stupid some of the people running these businesses are. And it's like reading the Schreier report. It just confirms all the speculation we had about the issues internally and everything at a lot of these publishers. The people that are making decisions, like he said, didn't even play video games. Didn't really
I
understand any
mean,
of this thing. Like,
that's like I get the point, but at the same time, like there's so many other like the fucking president of Activision or whatever came from like the fucking Clorox CEO or something. And then like Sarah Bonds
yeah,
the
yeah,
T-Mobile was it T-Mobile, so it's like it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Just
yeah. I think there's like a responsibility to understand at least somewhat of the
yeah.
business that you're in and understand the customer, right?
Yeah.
Now you can. I agree. You can not necessarily be the biggest gamer or like be into it necessarily yourself, but you gotta understand who you're selling to.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's been the biggest flaw for both Ubisoft and WB um this generation so far. It's like they're chasing spreadsheets, focus groups, market research, not actually paying attention to what people are saying and what the people are wanting as far as games. And it's for me, it's like hard to ignore because you just fucking open Twitter. It's like I just know these guys need to get on gaming Twitter, you know?
There's your fucking market research.
Yeah, like that's where they I mean, you just go on there and it's like, we hate all this shit, but we like this. Okay, we're gonna do that. You know? It is like it seems like there's like these obvious home runs like Ubisoft. How many times in the past have people been craving a Splinter Cell game to the point now where it's been so damn long nobody remembers what the franchise is, and now it's even more risky if they do it because it's like, well,
So much time has
how
passed.
how much is this worth it to us now? Well, you the ones that fucking created this issue in the first place. It could be
I
still
mean,
the biggest thing out there
the
with
the craziest one to me is like the fucking the craziest miss to me is that still that Spider-Man online game. I think that's going to be the biggest miss in fucking gaming history. Like,
Yeah. PlayStation is having this weird funk that they're going through. Like, I don't know if we want to switch over to their stellar
issues?
news.
They
but-
have. Well, here's the thing: you could look at everything that's been happening behind the scenes at PlayStation with their development,
Same
and
shit.
it mirrors exactly the same kind of shit that we just read in this WB article, right? And read and also know about Ubisoft chasing trends, chasing this idea that we have to do this because that's where the industry makes the most money instead of focusing on what the gamers are asking for. And like we saw with Hogwarts Legacy, that was their big success that they were so excited about.
Was a single player game with no microtransactions.
Single player game, no microtransactions. Exactly, right? So it's like they ignore what makes them successful, but see somebody else making money another way and say that's what we need to do. Right?
Because they know they can get more money out of people if they just add it in there. It's like, but you're gonna make your game bad.
Yeah, but there's still a way to do it in a way that doesn't like sacrifice or sabotage what the game is. And we've seen that in the past. Like when microtransactions monetization started, it started as a smaller thing and it kind of grew into what it is now. And some games added it, and over time, and people were like, "Okay, that's cool. I actually don't mind buying extra skins or costumes or stuff like that because it kind of keeps the game fresh over years and years, or even like seasonal content or whatever that they could do in like a
but I'm just thinking of like for Hogwarts Legacy, for example, like if they were to add microtransactions, like 90% of the items you got in that game would have been behind a paywall, and that game would have suffered for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I would want like, okay, what if you could like months later they release like an expansion that had extra characters and content or a little bit of story or something, and like things to unlock, or I don't know, another mode that you could add on to it later on that was kind of like, hey, this is separate but it's part of it, and this one we're going to kind of monetize, but it's not really part of the main campaign, but you have access to it because you own the game. There's ways of doing it, but anyway, PlayStation Fuzzy, you were going on about that. Like they've kind of mirrored a little bit of what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, because like the recent story about the whole Resistance, it seems like Sony would rather remaster a game that's less than 10 years old than work on a sequel within a franchise. And I get it. What's his name? Shuhei Yoshida.
You gotta buy the remaster so we can make new games.
Yeah. So it's like they're diving into that piggy bank, and they expect you to carry the piggy bank with you wherever you go, and resell you the game that you bought not even 5 years ago. Oh well, we got this PS5 Pro update. Don't you want to buy it again? Oh, it's coming to PC. Don't you want to buy it over there too? Yeah. They are. It feels like they were unprepared this gen. Now, that's not saying that they didn't have some sort of game plan, but I think something changed, and maybe it was the whole, games as a service is where it's at. That's where we're going. And then they realize this is hard. We can't do this. Let's just quit all of it and go back to what we do well. Oh, that's right. These games are too damn expensive to make. So let's charge $80 now. Oh, wait, no, even better. GTA wants to be $100. We're going to charge $100 now. So I don't know. I just mismanagement. The same word that they used to throw over at Xbox and their studios needs to be thrown over at them. Bungie is a dumpster fire ×2 at this point. Was it Chris Porter? Is it Chris Porter? Is that the guy's name that left recently or something from Bungie? Like another one of the main, founders or upper level guys for Destiny is gone. I don't know why no one's really talking about the mismanagement over there. Not just Bungie either, because I'm pretty sure Bend, if I'm not mistaken, is another one of those studios that's probably about 3 shakes of a stick away from being closed permanently. because they didn't want to be a support studio before. So what makes you think they'll? Well, maybe they want to keep their jobs now. Maybe that'll be the reason why they changed their attitude. But there was another report that the studio laid off a whole team, type of deal not too long ago, and I don't know if that was at Bungie or somewhere else within the PlayStation
They
fold.
they closed all the PSVR team and all that shit, and some of the service teams. I think they laid off those people.
Was it Joe Blackburn who you're talking about, Fuzzy? Because he left and announced that he was leaving in January, but maybe he just finally left. Because it was announced, I think back in when was this? This is January 31st. Oh wait, that was last year. That was January 31st of last year that he left. That he was okay. So he was the game director of Destiny 2. So it must be somebody else that you're talking about that left after him.
Let me see. What have I recently?
Chris Proctor.
Okay, yeah,
you got the name right. Okay. Chris Proctor, a key figure in shaping Destiny's 2 weapon sandbox, has officially left. Yeah, I mean
that's good. Destiny 2's weapons sucked.
But you get the same kind of thing. Like, I'm not going to make it a big deal necessarily about some individuals leaving, right? But it's when it's a lot of the main people, then it kind of spells what happened, what it seems like at Monolith, right? With Wonder Woman and those teams going and recruiting from their old studio, right, to form a new team at EA.
Yeah.
Yeah, PTK says thanks. Yeah, we got it. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting hill for them to climb out of too. That's why we've been critical of the pipeline for PlayStation. I mean, it's like there's been so much doom and gloom around Xbox, but I really, out of all the platform holders, you can look at the pipeline of studio and games that we have in the works, and like you know a lot of what they're working on right now, and like they're in this release cadence where we're getting like 8+ games this year from first party studios at Xbox and publishing. And it's like it's just kind of like, well, people are like, oh, it's due, it's time for that, they're just backlogged, this doesn't mean anything. Meanwhile, a lot of the industry is like, we can't figure out how to make games anymore, and it's like Xbox isn't really getting the praise they deserve for this, sticking to this when all these companies were going through these issues, right? Xbox was receiving the criticism because they weren't having as many releases, but they were cooking. Now they're delivering, while all the studios that were cooking were chasing trends too much and now have nothing to deliver to us. So it's something to say for even when things were down and bad with Xbox, with a lot of the conversations and negativity and all these other kind of things, like just doubling down, like, hey, we're fucking acquiring shit. We're gonna make a shit ton of games, right? And we're gonna let the creators make what they want to make. And we got a lot of stuff coming, man. It's like Avowed is getting a lot of high praise from people behind the scenes right now. That's coming around the corner. That's coming in 11 days officially. Early access hits earlier than that. Then we got South of Midnight, which is one of your most anticipated, Fuzzy, right?
Yeah.
You got Doom: The Dark Ages right after that, but then you got the third-party deals that they're doing as well for like games like Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. So there's like 5 games or so, like 4 or 5 games that are
in the first half.
Yeah, in the first half alone.
Yeah, the ID at Xbox thing coming, which I'm guessing we get a date for Alters. What was another one that was it?
33.
Is it the Fallen Feathers? Wushang Fallen Feathers? That gets a date here as well soon. So it's like you said, people don't give Xbox credit as far as their release cadence or the amount of effort that they're putting into the industry. I know people have been upset about the putting games elsewhere type of deal, but they got enough game. At least they have enough games to kind of support the industry at this point. Um, third parties are still showing up as well. Like Kingdom Come Deliverance just released.
Yeah, we got
You're
Assassin's
gonna
Creed
have more.
Shadows hitting in March. It'll be a
Yeah,
pretty big release. We'll see. I'm really curious how it does, guys.
I hope it does well. I hope
Me too.
these. I get some people not. It almost feels like there are gamers out here that hate gaming now
Yeah.
because it's not the exact way they want it to be. Now they want Assassin's Creed to be historically accurate in every way, shape, and form when it really has never been the case. It's loosely based kind of thing, and this still fits within that realm. So, and then they want to also be mad at the game for stuff that you can do in the game that's optional or your choice, but you don't have to do that. Oh, now you can tear up a religious space, and well, if you're the one going in there chopping it up, then that's on you, not the game, because it wasn't even meant to be a mission. It's just like somebody snapping in the middle of a public place kind of thing. But I don't know. And I don't even want to talk about the controversy on Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's like other games did this. Like you could do that in what was that? Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't remember anybody making this thing about Mass Effect Andromeda, who you can romance and whatnot, but there's that.
Baldur's Gate.
I mean,
3,
I do remember hearing
Binding,
some of the romance controversy for Cyberpunk, but it wasn't. It was more about I couldn't romance this chick because I had to be a chick to romance her, as opposed to the other one kind of thing. But beyond that, I think that's as far as the controversy went. Now it's like, oh well,
people
there's
just
4 people you can.
people just looking
I don't
for
know.
anything now just to target to like highlight to
Yeah.
promote their culture war agenda thing.
And I
that's
think
what it's
the
about.
Kingdom Come Deliverance thing, like that only seemed to last like a day or two, and then it was like no one's really
Because
talking about it
everybody's like,
since, I feel
shut up.
Yeah.
We want to be excited for this
Yeah.
game. Go away. You know? Like, just fucking leave this game out of it. But, like, they'll pick a random other game later. Everybody's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's bad, right? For whatever reason. It just, here's the thing. I'll say this every time. There's tons of games made by tons of different kinds of developers and publishers and creators out
Mhm.
there. And if you don't like something in a game, there's another game you can play. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
and you don't have to like fight like some kind of like Twitter fucking war on behalf of all humankind that you think you're servicing by like raising up and speaking. You're just fucking being annoying. Okay? I'm just saying it. Like, you're just fucking being annoying. And you're like you're trying to tear down joy that people have for games because it doesn't fit what you like. And that goes for anybody on all sides or whatever. You could have said the same thing with Hogwarts Legacy, right? From
Yeah.
people that were upset on the other side. It goes for anybody. Just let the fucking people make what they want to make, and you can choose whether to play it or not. You don't have to
Right.
say it shouldn't be allowed, right? It's not for you to
every game
say.
is for everybody. Yeah.
It's not for you to say. Not for anybody to say. They make something, you can decide whether to purchase it or not, right?
Yeah.
It's up to you. Up to you. Like, you want to read the whole, find out if there's anything that you don't like about one scene that's potentially optional in a game that's like going to last you 100 hours. You can go read everything you want to about it and make the decision for yourself.
Yeah.
It's also an optional scene too.
Just get off my timeline. I'm sick of muting these fuckers, man. Oh god. Please. Like, anyway, we'll see what the next controversy is with the next game. Probably be after Avowed releases, there'll probably be some other clip. Remember Destin's Gary's like gameplay a shot that got put in a video, and he had like the morphed character because he was playing with the character creator, and they were like, "Oh, look how ugly the characters are in Avowed." You know what I mean? Oh, this is so blah 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 because it has ugly characters. Like, just fuck off.
That's one of the things I'm worried with Avowed is Avowed's had so many different controversies thrown at it. Like they've tried dodging them, but some of them have like nicked them a little bit, and I don't know. We'll see how well Avowed does because of it.
Yeah.
Well, the East Side Vandal says all sides didn't start this BS, man. That was the right. Hey, like I'm not picking sides here. I get annoyed from the conversation from all sides. You go look at the Hogwarts Legacy conversation and the people that were trying to tear that game down and say what you want about that, right? I would also say the same for Assassin's Creed Shadows. It looks like it's coming from I don't even know who the fucking people are or what. That's like a whole nother thing. It's a whole other. It's like
Yeah.
some other thing that doesn't exist on either side. It's like just some anomaly that just formed out of the fact that we like to nitpick and hate shit now. It's just noise. It's just noise and comes from everywhere. And it depends on what people want to focus on and what they're trying to push about how they see the world should be in their eyes. And here's the thing. Something that I learned a long time ago. The world is not for any one individual. It's for everybody. And there's tons of different kinds of people here that all got to live together. And they're not all going to think like you. So maybe we should respect the fact that other people exist.
Good
Just
point.
a thought. So
I got a prediction for the next controversy, though. Somebody's going to bring it upon themselves to say, why is this game in third person? Why do I got to follow behind this female with a flat butt or something along those lines for all these hours? Why even bother putting it in third person if I got to do that? And it's like, dude, just get a PC and do a mod and shut up. Just
the Fable thing when people try to complain about, the Fable character's not sexy. When have I ever fucking played Fable to get off? I mean, really? Have you seen?
Aren't they like 14-year-old kids?
Like, have you ever seen the past Fable games? Are you serious? Like, are you serious with the fucking past Fable games? You're disappointed that like, oh my god, my characters aren't fucking sexy in a Fable game? You have no recollection of what the history of the franchise even looks like or played like? No, you don't. You're just a fucking idiot looking to make noise on Twitter for clicks. And it's annoying. Stop sabotaging my joy for these games because you're rounding up a bunch of idiots to quote tweet and rally behind your bullshit because they're too ignorant to fucking know otherwise. Anyway, so that don't run down Fable again, please. And there's an ugly character or somebody that has a strong jaw. Go back and fucking watch movies from the 80s, please. Yeah, the intergalactic shit. It's fucking stupid. Oh, she shaved her head. She has a strong jaw. Who the fuck cares? You see Sigourney Weaver and Aliens? Nobody's like, Aliens could have been great if Sigourney Weaver didn't have a strong jaw. Like, come on. Come on. Get over it.
I saw somebody made a video, one of these grifters that all those movies are excused because they were, for those times that was acceptable. It's like, well, then just either accept this or don't buy it. Just plain and simple. I don't know. Or find another hobby. That's probably the best solution. Maybe the grifters and those that aren't happy with these games. If not buying it is not good enough, then not being in the hobby would probably be even better for them. So.
Yeah, it's just like it's saying, like movies, TV shows. Like if you don't like something and it's something, you don't watch it, or you like, not into that. Somebody else might like it, not for me, right? Same thing with games. It's always been that way.
That's why I only watch shows with Sydney Sweeney in it.
There you go. There you go, Jasper. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you say, "Hey, I'm 100% exclusive to Sydney Sweeney stuff," that's completely up your alley. Go for it.
I don't even know any show she's in. That was a joke.
Yeah, there's people that have issues with games that are like too sexy too. Like fuck, like come on, like it doesn't matter. Like if people want to see that stuff and enjoy, like, cool, it doesn't fucking matter. Like something for everybody. Yep. Anyway, I'll be done ranting about that shit. So the one other thing I wanted to get to, we talked about like Xbox and they have stuff coming up. They have GDC coming up. They got the ID at Xbox thing coming up. I saw earlier in the chat, Brett mentioned this earlier in early on in the chat, right at the beginning of the show, said that Xbox officially announced they were going to be supporting another show that was being kicked off by the ESA. They're obviously the ESA
Oh yeah.
are the ones that did E3.
Yeah.
So this came out that the ESA announces Icon, IICON, an event that sure doesn't sound like E3.
Mm-hmm.
The ESA, the driving force behind E3, has announced a new event by the name of Icon, but don't get your hopes up. It really doesn't sound a lot like E3 at all. In a news post on its website, the ESA described Icon as an event aiming to connect visionaries, thought leaders, and innovators from across industries to harness the power of interactive entertainment. So, in short, it sounds like Icon is much more corporate minded than E3. It's more for business executives and industry figures than the general public. So, don't expect to see any jaw dropping game or console reveals. The new event's official website has lots of copy aimed primarily at brands, offering them the chance to align with a rapidly growing industry and to harness video game technology, innovations, and communities to elevate your brand.
But basically, what E3 was originally founded as.
Kinda,
Yeah.
It says, according to the site, Icon promises visionary keynotes, engaging discussions and workshops, and elite networking opportunities with execs shaping the future of entertainment, business, and technology. The event won't just be about gaming either. It also promises to incorporate other industries adjacent to gaming and interactive media like film, TV, and music, as well as sports, healthcare, education, finance, and more. The ESA says that attendance will be by invitation only, so it doesn't sound like you'll be able to just buy a ticket and rock up as a member of the public, which seems like it's in keeping with Icon's more exclusive approach. Companies like Take-Two, Ubisoft, and Xbox have already signed up for Icon, which should provide another clue that the event won't be anything like E3. After all, some of the companies confirming their attendance publicly stunned E3 in the years before its demise. In case you need a reminder, the ESA officially killed E3 in 2023. It's another reason Icon will almost certainly be nothing like E3. Elsewhere in ESA news, meanwhile, the trade body recently took President Trump to task over his newly introduced tariffs, which the organization said could cause significant harm to everyday Americans. Trump has paused tariffs. I don't know. What does this fucking have to do with gaming?
Okay.
Like, why did this go until all of a sudden? This is a fucking... Okay, this is a tech raptor. I'm like reading down this. I'm like, I thought I was reading it. Why did they add this at the end of this? It's just like a whole article about this, and all of a sudden, by the way, here's a thing about like. Anyway, I'm just gonna not. I'm gonna take a no comment approach on that one because I fucking don't know any better. But as far as fucking the ESA and Icon thing, I'm wondering if we'll actually get any kind of like, interview type things at an event like this. I don't think we're going to see like, hey, here's our Icon trailers, anything like that. This is what it doesn't say that's what this is about.
It's more like GDC kind of thing, but for more than just gaming.
Right.
I mean, sounds cool because at this point, maybe we'll see things if we get to see any of this stuff after the fact. Things like Unreal Engine 5 being used for movies. I think that was something that was talked about at GDC to some extent, but not really.
Yeah, the
focused
Mandalorian, I think, did some of that.
Yeah, and if they have maybe there's a third party that collaborates between movie studios and some of these publishers for things like that. What was that Well, it's not all cartoon, but like the what's it called? Second Screen or something? Like the thing where it had like the Concord short film.
Oh yeah, Secret Level.
Secret Level, yeah.
So maybe there's more of that type of stuff incorporated, or maybe some of the music or those involved in music, so they could do soundtracks and other stuff. So it could be interesting. It could lead down the road to stuff, but yeah, I would see this as kind of like what Jasper said, more of like a GDC, but with extra entertainment stuff outside of GDC. So
yeah.
Well, they even said healthcare in that, so like even like administrative stuff for like the company level. Like,
Yeah.
look, we're a healthcare provider. We can provide this for your 1,000 employees or whatever.
Nintendo announces the new pulse monitor for the Switch 2 at this event.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking more along those lines, like maybe a VR headset for like exercise and flexibility, or maybe like some of those watches and other training aids, like Nike sneakers with the built-in like foot or footstep monitor or step monitor built in, and it can be incorporated in the game, or you could have the stationary bike and all this other stuff, so you can have all the medical stuff tied into the console, your PC, or maybe you can perform heart
Nintendo
surgery
makes
via
fucking
VR.
alarm clocks, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with some stupid ass attachment.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see where that goes in the future, Fuzz, as like the glasses keep getting like smaller and smaller. There's a like some glass, is it called X screen, or forget the name of it?
Yeah.
But there's like these glasses that just look like regular glasses that you can put on, but it'll like project like you can have like 160-inch screen in front of you, and you can connect it to your phone or like any display or for any game machine or whatever. And it's just like you're fucking now that something like that I could see owning and wearing, right? Because you're not engulfed in this massive fucking head casket, where it's like making your head weigh 50 pounds, it feels like, over an extended period of time.
And you can also wear it out without looking like a fucking retard.
Yeah, and your eyes don't start sweating and fogging up the lenses because you're just like, my eyes can't fucking breathe in this thing. My fucking eye, like that's one of the worst things that happens. Those things, you're just sitting there watching stuff.
The fucking Apple Vision Pro or whatever the hell it was called was so stupid looking. Like people wearing that on like buses and sidewalks. It was like
I'm supposed to be getting some gamer glasses to review soon. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, yeah, like the blue light filtering stuff.
Yeah, I never had any before, but somebody's sending me some, so that's gonna be interesting to check that out. And like, there's glare, like here, so like maybe I would wear them, just to block out some of the fucking blinding light in front of me when I'm on shows and stuff. I don't know. We'll see. See how stupid I look. If they
look like normal glasses, right?
Well, no, these ones are a little interesting.
Oh,
I don't know. It's not my. I'll say they're like normal glasses, but the ones that they were willing to send to me aren't necessarily my style. Usually, like your glasses, Jasper. You went and probably picked those out. You're like, okay, I like these. They match my face and they go good with me and stuff. Like they're just sending me these. It's like I wouldn't necessarily pick these out. But who knows? Maybe I'll be surprised and I won't look so weird. But we'll see. I'll have to show them or something to review them, right? So you guys might get a good laugh if I look ridiculous. Just warning you. They're like rounded lenses, kind of. I don't know. It's not my thing. I usually go with like a squared look. Jasper.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll see. Maybe I like them. The round, thick black circles. Pretty much. Yeah, I showed her a picture of them and she laughed.
So they're like, it's like if Harry Potter was a blind person?
Yeah. Pretty much. Like Harry Potter glasses. The thing is, though, is like they have a bunch of ones to choose from, but it's not the new one that they're coming out with that they wanted people to review. So it's the one that they offered to me, and I was like, okay, I've always wanted to try them. Like I don't do a lot of like things like that, but if it makes sense for gaming, then I'm willing to try stuff. Like this company sent me these batteries, right? And these are cool because they actually last a really fucking long time. Like 3600 milliamp, 1.5 volt lithium batteries. So that was cool. I really like that shit. So if you want to check them out, there's a link down below in the description. But also, yeah, these other things, like, because they're gaming related. If somebody approaches me with something like that, I'm like, okay. But if they approach me like, Hymns. Which I'd say we've done Manscaped before, so I can't say too much because we've done Manscaped. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know, some of them are a little weird to like implement, you know?
See, Hims isn't just hair loss, is it? I was thinking of the dick pill that they make, right?
Oh, the Blue Chews.
Kate said, "Wait, did I just slide this into a promo? Maybe, maybe not. It's for you to determine." Anyway, yeah. So we'll see on the ESA and Xbox and what Icon turns out to be. I think it'll just be kind of like you maybe get some articles about it or something. People from the industry that were invited. You get Schreier. Oh, it was interesting things happened today at Icon. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, guys, we got games to play, things to do, and this was a fun show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight on this episode of Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Oh man, we have some fun months ahead. I'm looking forward to next week's shows as well because we'll have FSP full slate. Well, actually, not a full slate next week. We won't have next Friday. We will not have a show because it is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So we won't have a show next Friday. But we will have a show Thursday and Monday of next week. But hey, Jasper, thanks for joining us again from space. Took the time to hang out. It was a fun show. Appreciate you being here.
Yep. Yo, check it out. Lord Jasper Twitter, all that fun stuff. And then I won't be back next Friday because it's Valentine's Day, like you just said. So I'll be back the next Friday, I think. Or I may switch to Mondays then. I don't know. I'll be back one day that week. So
Right on, bro.
Yeah.
One day. We'll see you again one day.
Yeah.
Fuzzy Belvedere, thanks for being here as always. Appreciate you, man. And tell everybody where they can find all of your rambles and rants.
As always awesome being on here with you on Friday nights. Glad we have Jasper on here tonight as well. Man, it's going to be interesting Sunday. We'll see if the Birds can bring it home. Come on, refs, be cooperative. Stop, being so gentle with the call, or stop protecting homes. That's all I'm gonna say. But
I want to see Fuzzy like real quick. I want to see like them like just like let free reign on the quarterbacks at one point and just not tell anybody. Except for the defenders. Just like go into a game and say, "Hey, you got free reign. We're just gonna stop protecting these quarterbacks," and just see the fucking surprise on the faces, like the old days. Like how many concussions did they used to have? Like, oh my god, they still get them today, but not like they used to.
Yeah,
like
no,
be insane.
Did you all see speaking of the Super Bowl, did you all see the theory that or the myth or whatever that someone put out was like whatever the color of the logo is that team wins every year? It's only like out of all the Super Bowls, it's only been wrong twice. So the primary color of the logo, that team wins.
What's the primary color of this logo?
Red.
Oh, fuck. Well, you know what? If it was green, I would have said, "Oh fuck," too. So, like, it almost seems like the Super Bowl logo is almost always either red or blue. So,
Yeah.
like, what if the Steelers is the Super Bowl logo ever going to be yellow? I guess it has been in the past. I don't know.
At some point, yeah.
Or like the Bengals. Hey, our Super Bowl logo is orange this year. I don't think. Maybe randomly it could happen. I don't know.
So you're saying it's fixed, huh?
Yeah. Oh, the Bengals in the Super Bowl. We want them to finally win. Make an orange logo.
Yeah.
I like the conspiracy, Jasper. I like it.
I'm looking more forward to the following Sunday for NASCAR because that's my sport. Well,
yeah. Is it the Daytona 500?
It's still fading a bit.
Is it the Daytona 500?
Yeah. So,
it is. I was okay.
Hey Fuzzy, while you're doing your outro, and I know I interrupted you, but can you do me a favor and read this $2 super chat from Razor Ultron? I super appreciate you because I can't bear to say it.
You don't want. There's only one game to play on Sunday. Go Birds! Thank you, Razortron.
Appreciate you, bro. All right, continue, Fuzz. Sorry.
Yeah. So after the Eagles next Monday, Xbox on Fresh Special, 12 noon, Double Barrel Gaming, and then FSP later that night. And then I'm probably going to be off Friday as well because I'm married as well. So we'll see what the podcast lineup looks like if we do Breakfast with Boom in the morning. But I know we're not doing Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. It'll probably be movie night or some sort of night. So we'll see. But hope everybody has a good and safe weekend. See you guys throughout the week next week.
Right on, bro. Thank you, Fuzzy. And I hope everyone has a fantastic evening and great weekend. Maybe you'll see a Mavcast pop up or something if there's anything interesting to talk about or decide to play something. A couple games I wanted to get to streaming as well. But other than that, if not, you'll see me back next week on FSP on Monday night. And then from there, Thursday, could have a guest next Thursday also. The potential. Don't know 100% yet. But if it happens, it's one I'm excited about because I haven't been able to do a show with him in a while. But yeah, everyone, have a good one. Take it easy. And I guess the PlayStation Network is still down, so people are losing their fucking minds, Deon Hayes says. Oh, if only they had it at Xbox. Take it easy, everyone. Peace out. Bye.
Later.
Bye.